6:01. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. The Tennessee Titans will host the Cincinnati Bengals this Saturday at Nissan Stadium. Kickoff set for 3:30. The Bengals are the lowest remaining seed in the AFC, as all four division winners will play in the divisional round of the playoffs. Cincinnati, Buffalo, and Kansas City all won their home playoff games over the weekend. The Bengals edged the Las Vegas Raiders 26-19, while Buffalo crushed New England 47-17 on Saturday. Kansas City advanced after beating Pittsburgh 42-21 last night in what was likely the final game of Ben Roethlisberger's career. In the NFC, San Francisco had the only upset of the opening round, defeating the Cowboys yesterday in Dallas 23-17. Also, Tampa Bay won over Philadelphia 31-15. Tonight, final game of the Wildcard round as the Arizona Cardinals are at the LA Rams. Kickoff set for 7:15. It can be heard courtesy of Westwood One right here on The Zone. Women's college basketball yesterday, number 5 Lady Vols thrashed number 19 Kentucky 84-58. Men's college hoops today, Belmont visits SIU Edwardsville. Tip at 6 o'clock. Preds at St. Louis tonight, face off at 7. The Preds will try to snap a 2-game losing streak. They are tied for first place in the Central Division with Colorado. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Welcome in, JMart and Ramon. And then there were nine? Still a game to be played tonight. They're calling it Super Wildcard Weekend because there's an extra game that's played on Monday night. Not an extra game, but they've decided to move it and they make it a 3-day extravaganza. Yesterday, look, Moan, your Steelers, that thing was bad. And then at least Ben got a couple touchdowns on the way out.
Yeah.
At least you get that. Like, that's the way that game probably should have gone. They really weren't a playoff team. And the offense, the first half watching that offense, I was just like, I can't watch this anymore. It's a wrap. 35-7, it was over. But at least you make it a little bit interesting in terms of Ben didn't go out getting, like, shut out completely.
Yeah.
At least he can walk out like that.
And a lot of people took the under in that too, from my understanding, because they thought it was going to be super defensive. And it was for about a quarter. But, yeah, Kansas City did what Kansas City does. That place is a hard place to play at. It looked like last night against the Steelers, Kansas City was trying to. I'm talking about just pressing the issue of trying to look like they're getting back to their old form. And truth be told, they did. They scored with a lineman, a tight end threw a touchdown, Patrick Mahomes extending plays, Cheetah out there doing his thing. And honestly, their defense, they did some good stuff too. So, I almost want to call Super Wildcard Weekend Super Disrespectful Weekend also.
In terms of
the way Buffalo did
the
Patriots.
I gotta say this. I listened to our friend Robert Mays and Nate Tyson, their athletic podcast Saturday night after that.
Yeah.
And I got it more than I've got it in a while. I've never heard the Tennessee Titans spoken of the way they talked about the Buffalo Bills for 25 minutes.
You got
on that
it?
Podcast. I got it in that I can understand why Titans fans feel like they're never talked about.
Yep.
I've never heard gushing like this in my life. Josh Allen's one of the 5 most talented players in the history of the NFL. This Bills team is the one we all knew they were. This Bills team can't be beaten by anybody. This is one of the 2 or 3 greatest performances in the history of the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Football Outsiders' second greatest DVOA since they started tracking it in 1980 or whatever the number was. It was obscene. And I was thinking to myself, because they were like, and they did it against this all-world defense. I'm like, they did? Because the New England Patriots, to me, before the playoffs started, didn't look like a playoff team to me. Didn't feel like a playoff team to me.
Mm-hmm.
They lost all of their they lost three of their last 4 games. The only team they beat was the Jacksonville Jaguars, which only means that they're better than the Colts. But the Colts the Colts beat them as well. They were 2-4 against playoff teams. They had a rookie quarterback. They have no speed at wide receiver at all. And you saw that right in front of your face on Saturday night. The Bills are good. The Bills are a playoff team. The Bills should be here. This is closer to the team that you thought that they would be. But are they going to do this to everybody else? I don't think so. They were like, oh, you go back to the Bucs loss. But in the second half's where they discovered it and they figured it out. And now this juggernaut, Josh Allen's talent is undeniable. And all of a sudden I was just like, y'all continue to go ahead and go down that pathway, and you could turn out to be right. But the Tennessee Titans, I have never in my life heard that much said about the organization that we cover on a day-to-day basis. They're number 1 seed, and it was like there was no time to talk about the Tennessee Titans on that podcast. And I love those guys.
Yeah.
And I was just like, fellas, ease off the Bills for about 2 minutes because they're going to Kansas City.
Yeah.
Don't think for a second they won't revert to the team that we saw midseason. And they were like, oh, but they put it all together. They did. They didn't look good against the Jets.
Nope.
In the finale. I didn't see them being some kind of juggernaut at the end of the season where this team now looks the part. I mean, no, they look like a playoff team, which means they have a shot, and they have a lot of talent, which means they have a shot. But I think you overrate this because the opponent really didn't deserve to be there.
You know, Jay, I'm glad you said all of that, and I agree with every single bit of it, man, to the point. And you know what? If you came to that point last night, I'd say this. About 2, maybe 3 weeks ago is when I kind of realized the differences between covering the darlings that they want and actually covering the Titans too. Like I kind of said it to somebody, I was like, I get it. I truly get it. Like I see what this crowd kind of feels a little bit when it comes to the coverage of this team. And when they get the coverage, it's almost just like, oh, it's a cool little pat on the back type of situation, you know. But me watching the Bills game and looking at the recaps of it and just everything around it, I honestly just saw the way they beat the Patriots. 1, yes, it was very disrespectful.
Oh, it was.
But 2, I asked somebody, I was like, okay, so are the Bills back or are the Patriots just tired and done? You know, like that was the answer I got. It wasn't a for sure like, oh, the Bills are here to win and win and make a deep run in the playoffs. I was of the mindset that this is a divisional rivalry. This is a situation in which New England has done this to Buffalo for over 20 years as far as just beating them down, owning the AFC East. They have a wild card game at home. And here's their opportunity in front of their fan base to embarrass Bill Belichick, to just run through New England and just try to honestly reset what the AFC East has been for years. That's the only thing I got out of that. And I did say this to a point. I think New England probably ran out of more gas than what Buffalo actually did to them.
Oh, I agree.
I'm not believing in Buffalo like that. They're not like that to me, Jay.
Look, we could easily be proven wrong over the next 3-4 weeks. And if we are, we'll be the first to say that Bills team, it was able to flip a switch and they had the talent. And at times in a regular season, you didn't show it, but talent eventually wins out. We can say that. But I can tell you, that might have been a football game until Micah Hyde made that interception on the first Patriots drive. Yeah, Mac Jones scramble on a 3rd down, make the play. You had him find Kendrick Bourne for a 1st down on 3rd down, make the play. He threw the ball. It was just a smidge inside. It wasn't a bad throw, but Micah Hyde made an absurd play on it. And then they came down and scored. It was over. Like 14-0, it was over. Just like last night when Mahomes found Kelsey at the end of the first half, it was over. That reminded me of Kelsey. That reminded me of Mahomes tightrope in the left sideline against the Titans before the half in the AFC Championship game 2 years ago, and the ball game was over right there. There were some moments where teams died, basically. And that's what those were. The Patriots didn't have anything by the time they got to the playoffs. You think about it. The Colts would have been better. The Chargers would have been better. You can name a couple of different teams in the NFL who probably would have put up a better fight, but certainly would have had more horses to have put a fight up with. than what you saw here.
100%, man. Was it a good showing because I hate the Patriots? Yeah.
I mean, it was fun, but I even listened to this. I was bored to tears, right?
Yeah.
By like the third quarter, I had to go in and do the show with Aaron.
Yeah.
And I was lucky because I didn't have to sit there and try to watch the rest of that. Dude, Mace, if we get Robert on this week, we have him over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
He was just like, my fiance was sitting there. She was working. She wasn't paying attention. I was just like, they are absolutely beating the brakes off the Patriots. She goes, is it boring? He goes, no, it's one of the most exciting things I've ever seen because of how great this performance is. And I'm just like, dog.
Yeah.
I know it was special. I know he had 4 incompletions. I know the stats are historic. I know they had 7 touchdowns. That game sucked because it was over. Like, I can't watch great offense when the other teams can't put up a fight anymore.
No doubt. But you know what, Jay? To the point of the excitement of watching that game. So yesterday I made a store run to the Kroger's, okay?
Oh, why?
I made a store run to the Kroger's.
Upset me, huh?
I had to pick up something real quick, man. And immediately walking in the store, I walk into the produce section, right? And there's this lady there with a shopping cart and her baby inside of the shopping cart, okay? Doing what you do. You grocery shopping. Hey, she had a baby out. And I had on the Steelers hat, and she was like, oh. I was like, what? We play you guys today. I was like, well, I like your baby, but I hope y'all lose. You know, just a little bit back and forth of what playoff football is. So I get what I get, and I go around to the meat section, okay? And lo and behold, there's a guy there with a Buffalo Bills hoodie on. And I'm telling him, hey, man, I appreciate what your team did to New England Patriots last night. Lo and behold, the lady who's a Kansas City fan is his wife.
Oh, Lord.
So I'm looking at them both, and I'm like, hey, you need to get her act together, okay? He was like, man, trust me, it's a house divided over here. We'll be okay after the playoffs. Just one of the funniest interactions I've had in a while.
That is funny. I wonder how long they've been fans of those two teams.
Yeah. No, the way, and honestly, she came to me with the foolishness first. So she had to have been a Chiefs fan for a little while because, Jay, this baby couldn't have been no more than 2 months old. And she was talking trash already.
So there's still a game tonight. We are going to break down everything from the football weekend, obviously, including the coaching carousel, including rumors of Brian Flores and Deshaun Watson teaming up wherever they go, which tells me Deshaun might actually suit up for the Texans again after all, if the truth is out there that they are settling these cases one by one behind closed doors. So there's just so much to get to. Obviously, the Titans now have an opponent, and it's the one I told you, if you're Titans fans, it's the one that I would be a little bit frightened by. But at the same time, as a football person, if you don't have a dog in the fight, man, the AFC, these 2 games, this is about as good as it gets, folks. So obviously we're going to break down Titans Bengals for the next 5 days. So we got to parcel it out. But we're going to talk about everything that we've seen over the weekend. The telephone number is 615-737-1045, 737-1045. We're broadcasting from our homes today just because of the obvious overnight freeze. And actually, it snowed overnight.
It did.
I woke up today and it snowed overnight again.
Yeah.
Like, I did not expect that at all. Why did I bother cleaning my windshield off last night before it got cold? I have no idea.
Silly human.
We also have a schedule. The Titans are playing on Saturday afternoon. They'll be the first game on Saturday. Nissan's going to be rocking. I thought it was going to be under the lights. But, hey, this means I can do the game and then do the Fox show.
Come on,
I don't
now.
have to take the day off. So there you
Come
go.
on
We'll be
now.
right back. It is JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is counting down the Super Bowl 56 with a huge offer. New customers can get 56-1 odds on any wildcard team to win their game. Betting just $5 and win $280 in free bets if your team is victorious. All customers can also get in on the DraftKings Hammer the Over promotion. And for every 5,000 bettors who take the over for tonight's game, the point total will lower by a half a point. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code WGFX and get 56-1 odds on any NFL team. You can bet that $5 and win $280 in free bets if your team wins. That's promo code WGFX at the DraftKings Sportsbook. And you must be 21 years or older and present in Tennessee to bet. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
They got to get up and clock the ball. 5, 4, 3, 2. Dak will he get it off in time?
No.
With 1 second to go, did he spike the ball in time or not?
No, he did not.
He did not. The 49ers have won the game. What do you got, Alex Kemp? Did he spike it in time?
That's the end of the game.
Game is over. The 49ers have won. They're on their way to Lambeau.
Oh, my goodness.
Mike McCarthy tried to be all chesty about it in the post game. They weren't able to get it off. The Cowboys to lose. The 49ers, who looked like the better team for a lot of that day, end up winning it, even though Fred Warner goes out in the game and Bosa goes out in the game. They don't get the snap off. They have 14 seconds. Dak or whoever it was doesn't hand the football to the official, first of all, so that they can spot it. They make them search for it, and they don't have time for that. But maybe the bigger thing is, did you really feel like that's what you wanted to do with that situation? You really cut it close. And he's like, oh, yeah, you think I don't want to go for a 25-yard gain instead of 50-yard Hail Mary? I made the right decision. Well, allow me to second guess you, Mike, because it didn't work out and your team's going home. And I said you're the reason I didn't believe in that football team going into the year. I'm not so sure that was the wrong decision.
Jay, and you call it's been a few things you've been right on, man. And there's a bouquet of flowers that's just waiting for you. Okay, just a whole little group. I want to call them a bushel of flowers, bouquet. Sure. A vase, because you called out McCarthy on this one. Okay, and you were 100% correct on that one also, because this seems like it was his idea. Now, he did the proper things as that Dallas Cowboys and San Francisco 49er game was winding down. He burned the timeouts when he had to save the clock. They didn't put together an offense, though, to where they could run the ball or throw the ball to get out of bounds, though. That was an issue. That was a major issue on their part right there. And then on top of that, you run the ball down the middle of the field with no timeout so that you can start to take 5 shots, is what he said.
Yeah.
Or however many shots. You ran it down the middle of the field, though.
Yeah, it made no sense. If you're going to do it, at least try to throw it to the boundary, right? Like give yourself some kind of cover. I understand you middle of the field so the ball's there, but the ball wasn't spotted properly. You're putting it in the officials' hands to get you ready before that snap. Anything you're putting in the officials' hands, as Cincinnati and the Raiders can attest to, probably not something you should do. Let me read it to you directly from Adam Schefter. Referee Jerome Boger and the crew that worked the AFC Wildcard game between the Raiders and Bengals are not expected to officiate again this postseason after their problematic performance Saturday, highlighted by a controversial whistle. The league usually takes officials assigned to the divisional round, not the wild card round, to work the Super Bowl, but officials that earned high grades this weekend could and would be under consideration for the Super Bowl. This is the best, though. One league source did not express surprise at Boger's performance. Others around the league have commented on it during various points of the season, and the NFL has received mixed reviews for mixing its officiating crews in postseason games, taking officials from different crews and assigning them to work together. We're in 2022. There's almost nobody within the sound of my voice that knows anything and has watched this league for any length of time that doesn't know Jerome Boger's probably the worst official in the history of pro sports in America.
Well, in fact of that, Jason, we've got Coach Mack from, I think, a year or two ago talking about that. Let's play that now.
Jerome Boger's terrible. He's terrible. And his crew is bad. And and this is not just Coach Mack saying that. He became an official in 2006. I mean, he was the official, when Albert, got kicked out against Dallas here. I mean, when he got his assignment in 2013 to go do the Super Bowl, the rest of the officiating crews were a little upset because his grades have never been good. He has not done a playoff game since 2013. What does that tell you? All right, now let's move on.
He's horrible, and we all know it. And so why is he doing a playoff game? Can we not do better than that? In 2022, is the state of officiating that bad? Because there was some good officiating that we saw through the rest of the week. Our guy Sean Smith killed it.
Yeah, he did.
Handle business like usual.
Very precise.
Hey. Yes. And senior VP of officiating Walt Anderson trying to defend them and say, Boger didn't feel like the whistle was blown before the receiver caught the ball. Well, we all heard it.
Mm-hmm.
If it was inadvertent, if it was coming from the crowd, whatever it was, it doesn't matter. The rule is spelled out. They did not follow the rule in the book. That's the whole reason officials exist, is to get the rules right.
They told us in the Music City Bowl, though, the whistle didn't matter.
Yeah.
I got to throw that out there real quick.
Well, maybe there's openings in ACC for Bogert. I don't know how old the guy is. He could be the nicest human being on planet Earth, but that dude stinks as an official.
Yes.
And the NFL should not have him in playoff games.
No, it was almost to a point. Okay, usually during the broadcast, the NFL will say something, right? In a situation where the referees are, in question, they'll usually say something. This was one of the weirdest responses I had ever seen, Jay, when it came down to the NFL saying nothing. And it was almost just like one of them, you just wait till we get home.
Oh, yeah.
You wait till we get home. You want to embarrass me in the store? You just wait till we get home. That's what that felt like when watching the replay of them trying to explain what was going on with Jerome Bogert and his crew, because that honestly could have helped out, just that out of bounds pick, interception, whatever you want, that touchdown with the Raiders. Honestly, everybody around them, if you look at that replay, the DBs just kind of stopped when they heard the whistle,
Yeah, they did.
And as close as that game ended up being, that was a strong determining factor, man. 7 points or 6 points because of that touchdown was pretty significant.
Between that and the two roughing the passer calls, the second one in particular, where I was, okay, well, we must shut down football. Like, if that's a penalty, there will be no more football played in America. Like there's no possible way to. They called that penalty late in the game in a crucial spot.
Yep.
After
who was it? Derek Carr that was asking for it.
Yeah.
Was it even a tap or he just moved his head?
Like, I was sitting next to Abby at the time, and she goes, "Can you do that?" And I said, "This." And I just kind of like shoved her a little bit in her shoulder, and she side-eyed me for a second. And then she's like, "Yeah, that shouldn't have been a penalty."
Like Abby is with the foolishness, Jay, man. I gotta pray for you, man. Your safety is not okay over there.
Tots and pears, and I got CG is fully teething now.
Yeah. Watch the
man.
fevers.
Oh man.
Babies kid. By the way, she'll probably catch a fever too when they're teething like that, man.
I heard about this. I heard about this from a friend of mine that's a psychologist. She said that there have been a lot of studies about this, and a lot of people have said that it's a good thing that that you go through teething so young you don't have any memory of it.
Yeah.
Because if you had memory of it, people would just choose not to go through it at all. Like, they just go ahead and kill me off. Like, yeah. I'm good. Good run, but this tooth thing not happening.
I've heard that too. That like teething, like cutting your gums is like excruciating.
Yeah. It sounds like, but then you really think about it. Yeah, that probably isn't fun.
Probably is.
Probably not.
By the way, too, before I know we got Eric on the line too. By the way, Jay, when you're hosting, when you build one of the biggest venues, art pieces ever in the state of Dallas, when you spend one of the first billions ever on a stadium, and you get to a point to where you're hosting playoff games, number one, with what we think is a really good team, got a rookie first team all-pro stud, just paid your quarterback millions of dollars, got a high-paid offensive line, got 2 running backs that's solid, got 3-4 wide receivers that are A1, and you got friggin' sun coming into the stadium.
I can't deal with that, man. It's that way in Indy. It's that way in Dallas. Can we talk about that? Because I hate it on the broadcast, and it can't be good in terms of playing on it. Like, you can tell me, but that would not be fun to play in at all, I wouldn't think.
Apparently, there are ways stadiums are built. The Dallas Cowboys have a north-south stadium, apparently. And apparently, like, there are also stadiums that are called east-west stadiums. And the north-south ones is not many of them. My brother-in-law just had this conversation with me about college football stadiums that are like that. He was just like, yeah, have you ever heard of a north-south stadium? I was like, no, not really. What does it matter? And then he goes to tell me, like, well, most stadiums are like east-west, and the north-south ones, you don't have many of them. And the Cowboy Stadium is a north-south stadium. And I guess the rotation of the sun in which the sun sets, it shines right through that opening. And that cost them actually a third down play, remember? When the sun was blinding Cedric Wilson. And I'm thinking to myself, Jerry, did your engineers, number one, on top of that, the ball that his punter punted hit the top of the Jumbotron.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you want to talk about flaws? Like, I know Jerry Jones is a very prideful guy. That had to have been embarrassing for him right there. There's nothing Cedric Wilson could have did on that catch. There's nothing his partner could have did. You mean to tell me I got to take away from my max efforts just because you got this gaudy A jumbo screen that blocks me having a good point, like having a good punt? That was pretty bad, man. That was a bad look to me for a guy that's super prideful about the Cowboys. That I think it was a second down throw that turned into a third down pass next to Cedric Wilson. That was a bad look by the Dallas Cowboys and the engineering team that put together AT&T's.
Well, don't you
stadium.
think that's kind of on brand for what the Cowboys have been, though, for the last 20-ish years? They've been a team that's all glitz. Everything's good. But underneath the hood, the engine's not all that great.
Yeah.
Like, that's perfect. Like, they're surface level special. Uniforms, history, tradition. They're the Cowboys, the market, the ratings, all of that. But then on the field, you just don't know. And your caretaker is Mike McCarthy. On top of all of that. How Cowboys is that?
No, let me correct that. The Cowboys stadium run east-west. North-south is what's preferred. I guess because east-west is because of the sunset.
Yeah. I think the Colts did it too, though, because the Colts, I've seen them have the same kind of problem. Sun going in through part of a stadium is not a thing that should be happening.
Yeah, this is pretty wild. I had no idea this was even a thing until, honestly, the Cowboys situation.
That was like old Butler, where Butler plays basketball. Sun goes in through that as well. And you saw it when they were playing the NCAA tournament. It's just like, good grief. I know this is a historic building, but sun on the floor. No, thank you. 615-737-1045, 737-1045. Let's go to Eric in Nashville up first here on the program. Eric, go right ahead.
Hey, guys, I'm going to get to the playoffs in a minute, but Ramon, and JMart, I got to tell you a couple of stories of where I had people in the general public who thought I played for the Titans. You'll get a kick out of this. So one time I was in Kroger's in Green Hills, and I was shopping. The lady comes up to me and says, "Oh, I just want to say I love you so much. Just want to say that, I think you're great and all that type of stuff." I'm saying, "What in the world are you talking about?" I said, "You play for the Titans, don't you?" And I could have lied and said, "Yeah," but I said, "No, unfortunately I don't." I said, "I wish I had the money, but no, I don't play for the Titans." He said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought you played for the Titans." I said, "Well, appreciate it." Well, one of the funniest things is one time, this was a number of years ago, I was jogging and I was wearing a Tennessee Titans t-shirt, and I had a car that just was driving, then started slowing down, and I was getting nervous. I said, "Was this person following me or something?" So he pulled up and he stopped and he looked at me and said, "Oh, I thought you was Brad Hopkins," and drove off.
Eric, how big? I have no idea. What are your dimensions, sir? Because multiple people thinking you're a Tennessee Titan.
Well, unless they just got bad eyesight or something like that. I'm not that big, but guys, I'm like about 6'1", and at the time that they was looking at me, I was about 220 at that time. Okay. I mean, I'm not quite as big anymore. But one of the funny things, I've had people come up to me and say, "Man, are you Eddie George? You look like Eddie George." I said, "No, I don't think I look like Eddie George. I've had other people tell me I look like Barack Obama and O.J. Simpson."
Yikes!
That's kind of my brush for celebrity, guys. But real quickly on the playoff games this weekend, pretty much the only two games that kind of didn't go the way I thought they would go. Probably the Buffalo game. I thought they would win. I did not think they would beat the brakes off the Patriots as bad as they did. And I did think the Steelers would hang around for most of the game. I thought Kansas City would win, but that play right before the first half pretty much sealed it, and then they got another touchdown at the start of the second half, and it pretty much was over. Guys, but, I agree with you on the Cincinnati game. That was just one of the wildest things I've ever seen. I didn't see that play because I actually was at Kroger's on Saturday shopping, and then I got back and found out about what happened. I thought that's just one of the wildest things that I could ever remember seeing. But in the Dallas game, guys, I don't know if you heard about this. I was watching the highlights of ESPN. One of the things happened afterwards, they said the Cowboys fans were so mad because they showed the video of it with throwing trash on the field. I don't know if it was at the players or at the referees and stuff. They asked Dak about it. He kind of was bitter, and he says, "You're supposed to stick through the fans, thick and thin." And he was kind of making a snide comment about it. Well, if it was at the referees. But the funny thing also, of course, is Jerry Jones, afterwards they asked about it, and of course he was very, very disappointed, and he said this was a very disappointing loss and all this type of stuff. Guys, I want to be honest. I grew up, as a part of me, I can't cheer against the team because I was a huge Cowboys fan. But I'll say one of the things I have a problem with sometimes with Cowboys fans, not all of them, but there are some that are jerks and think that they're entitled and all that type of stuff and are kind of spoiled now. And it's just like, and a lot of them can't handle losing well. And guys, it is what it is, guys. You know, and I will never cheer against them because that's the team I grew up rooting for. But you know, but I think sometimes we are overrated. We don't live up to the height and the talent. And I tell you what, it's just going to be interesting to see what happens in the off season, guys. Because I tell you what, this team has so much talent, but they're so undisciplined with the penalties and just other things, and beat up on the bad teams. But against the good teams, we were now 6-6, and I kind of had a feeling San Francisco was going to win because I felt like they were going to have trouble handling Deebo Samuel and that up tempo like the Titans did, but they never really adjusted to it, and it cost them. It caught up with them, guys. Y'all take care. We'll talk to you again soon.
Absolutely.
And also happy Martin Luther King Day.
Hey, there we go, Eric.
Indeed. Yeah, the weird thing about that is Cowboys fans are entitled because they were good in '94. Like, it's been a long time. Like, they're Georgia-ish at this point.
They are,
right?
man.
Like, I mean, they're always talked about. They've always got a lot of talent, seems like, all this. And then they find a way to just kind of underperform.
Yeah.
And whether it's a coach or whether it's a quarterback that's, I don't know, like, there's moments you really love Dak, and then there's moments where you just think he's sort of middle of the road.
Yep. Where is Dak? You know, like, and maybe it's coming off the injury. Maybe it's getting adjusted to actually, I don't like, he's designated as the guy now, honestly, because of his position and because of his salary now in Dallas, right? So do you think there is a little bit of I think there's a little bit of an adjustment period for him, considering the fact that all the pressure is kind of pointed towards him. And he's had a little bit of just honestly riding in the boat with the team instead of leading the boat for the most part, Like, that's my biggest thing to Dak is he's not driving that truck as much as I think he should be with this offense is concerned. He's kind of faded at some times. His coach didn't help him big time yesterday with the decision to actually run that ball down and get out of bounds. And he misses a whole lot more recently than I thought he has in the past. Now, again, the adjustment for him is becoming, I guess it's just new, or the pressure that's added to it. Because yesterday he's 23 for 43, 254, 1 touchdown and 1 interception. And then they lose at home. The Cowboys have way too many weapons, man. You got 2 stud running backs. Pollard should or could go somewhere and be his own starter, And now you got 3 wide receivers that are just studs and a young tight end that's doing the job also. And here you have the 49ers come in and just basically embarrass you in your home stadium. So much so, I don't know if I've ever seen, Jay, in my working career in the NFL, this many fans crying in a stadium.
A lot of Michael Jordans hanging out in stadiums, man. A lot of, and some of Cowboys fans were crying with like 5 minutes left.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you guys could still win this game. I mean, if Randy Gregory doesn't commit another awful penalty.
Why did he tackle the offensive line?
I have no idea. He wasn't even going to make the play. Like, Parsons was the guy who was going to make the play. Gregory just, I don't know what that was other than terrible. Just an awful play.
To your point in the first segment about you see why Titans fans get a little bit upset, because the offseason is going to start with probably who again? The 4-letter network and Skip talking about Dallas. The Cowboys.
Yep. There'll be more talked about with the Cowboys loss today, and probably the Bills win, than just about anything else that you will hear. Like I told you, I really want you to spend about 20 minutes today listening to the Open and Amazing Tyson show, because even though the breakdown is good, my gosh, the Buffalo Bills are the greatest football team in the history of earth. Isaiah McKenzie's a stud. They can't be stopped. Now they can run the ball. Easy, fellas.
Again,
easy.
Was it them running out of? Was it New England running out of gas, or is Buffalo actually back? And truth be told, I can't even give you an answer because I can't find myself trusting Buffalo.
I need to see them against somebody other than New England. before I'm willing to say too much. If they go do that to Kansas City on the road, we'll have a different discussion next week.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's how that will go. We will see, though. 615-737-1045, 737-1045 is the telephone number. More, of course, on Super Wildcard Weekend. Wherever you want to take it, you can take it. Still a game to be played tonight. Boy, is there a lot of pressure on Matthew Stafford. My goodness. Just a ton of pressure on him. Also, the Vols played Kentucky.
Ooh.
I don't know that we need to discuss that at all.
There's one guy in particular that's got to step up for them all the time, and he's just not.
It's not happening at all. We'll be right back to JMart and Ramon on MLK Day here on 104.5 The Zone.
Baker Birdwell is the disability brokerage financial professionals can count on to deliver disability insurance, education, products, and service. What is your most valuable asset? Your home? Think again. It is your income. And it may sound crazy, but let me explain. Say you make about $150,000 a year and you're 35 years old. Even if you never get a pay raise, you'll make about $4.5 million in your working lifetime. And I'm guessing your house is a little bit less than $4.5 million, even in this Nashville housing market. As a former pro athlete, it wasn't a thought about ensuring my income or my career, but I'm sure the same applies for you as well. Have you considered what would happen if you couldn't continue your career due to health or an injury? For about 2 or 3% of your income, you can insure your income 60% tax-free. Don't let your next paycheck be your last paycheck. Bad things happen to good people. We've learned that for sure. Now, Baker Birdwell is the best resource for financial advisors and insurance agents when providing solutions and income protection. They are a trusted friend working with your trusted advisor to make sure that you are properly insured. The best thing about this is they're local. You can go see them if something's not going your way. But I'm here to tell you, they just want to see their community be protected and to win. Give them a call at 615-309-5958 or visit the website at bakerbirdwell.com.
Josh keeps without play action, fires to the end zone. You called it, Eric. Touchdown, Buffalo. The pass to rookie Tommy Doyle, the big man touchdown. They are pouring it on now. This game's out of control.
Yeah, the Bills dominated the Patriots, historically so. I actually thought Belichick might retire after that game. It's just like it might be time because they spent a lot of money, but they didn't upgrade speed at wide receiver. And I thought about it this way. Look, they went from like a D in personnel to like a C plus.
Yeah.
But a C plus is not going to be good enough. It was good enough to get them back into the playoffs. And their rookie quarterback, I still think, is going to be pretty solid. But Kendrick Bourne is not a wide receiver one. He might be a good two. But look at all the teams that are still playing right now in the postseason. And you tell me which one of them is the odd man out when you get to skill talent. And you find out real fast. Vegas has Darren Waller and even Renfro, who's a pretty solid player, but they've got Darren Waller. Cincinnati's got an alien at wide receiver.
Yeah, they do.
In Jamar Chase. And they've got Higgins. And they've got Boyd. Buffalo's got Stephon Diggs. That's the only one you need to mention, but they've got other guys in addition to that. Philly's got Devontae Smith. Tampa Bay has Mike Evans. They've got Chris Godwin when he's healthy. They had AB. They've got Gronkowski. The 49ers have another alien in Deebo Samuel. They've also got Kittle. They've also got Ayuk. They've also got Jawan Jennings, who is playing his guts out. Dallas has studs at wide receiver. Pittsburgh's got studs at wide receiver when they're not dropping the ball. The Chiefs have Kelsey. They've got Hill. They've got tons of weapons. Arizona's got Nuck when he's healthy. They've got AJ Green, just if you want to throw him out there. They've got a rookie in Rondale Moore. The Rams have Cooper Kupp, maybe the best receiver in football right now. They usually have Robert Woods. They've got Odell Beckham Jr. They've got Van Jefferson. And New England's got Kendrick Bourne, Nelson Aguilar, Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith. Which one of these doesn't match up to the others?
Let me see. That last one you called out?
Yeah. Yeah, and we haven't even talked about Philadelphia, Tampa Bay, because you want to talk about a boring football game.
Yeah, that was pretty trash.
I was catching up on AEW in the second half of that game, but I watched that and I thought to myself, I love Jalen Hurts to death.
Yeah.
He's so easy to root for. I loved him in college. I love his attitude. He can't be your starting quarterback he just is not a good enough passer. He's just not. He's going to make some plays for you. Yeah. And I think you want that guy on your sideline. That dude can't be your QB1 for a championship team. He just can't. He couldn't at Alabama. And once it got down to brass tacks, it was time for Tua.
To a T, every group chat I was in was like, man, I love Jalen Hurts, but he's a trash quarterback.
As a quarterback. Like he's a great, he could be a great leader, a great person to have around, somebody that's a winner, all this kind of stuff. He's just not good enough.
His transition from the NFL to a professional lifestyle, Jay, will be flawless. He's raised right.
Yeah, he is.
He's got great. He's even keel. I can see him being at the front of the desk, Jay, for a Fortune 500 meeting.
Well, certainly he could be on the sideline,
but
he could easily be a good coach somewhere.
Yeah,
there's a lot of places where he could succeed.
All of those things.
QB1 ain't it, man. He can't
and we like him.
I don't know how that team made the playoffs. I honestly don't know how. But they didn't win the NFC East. They got in as a wild card.
I know.
And looked like they got in as a wild card because Tampa Bay just dominated them in a boring fashion. Like they didn't have to earn it. They were just like, yeah, they're going to give it back to us. We're going to give you 15 points on the way out. It's 31-0. Here's 15 points on the way out. 615-737-1045. Hour one of the books. Hour two to come. I see Cuzzo Bam's on the line. We're going to get to break. We will get to you as soon
All Pro.
We get back. All Pro what?
Just I want to talk about that too.
We're going to talk about the All-Pro teams. Yeah. And of course, like I said, this is certainly Cincinnati hate week. So cousin Danny of the Borough
beat it.
Eesh. Well, we got 5 days to break that all down. We'll get to Cuzzo Bam next here at JMart Ramon 104.5 The Zone.
Are you dreading the holiday credit card bill you're going to find in the mail by the end of this month? Well, with a simple cash out refi with the home loan expert, you can wipe that debt out and put some money back into your pockets. Get started at thehomeloanexpert.com. Right now, mortgage interest rates are still sitting at an all-time low level, but they are starting to tick up. So if you've been sitting on the fence to get a refi, or if you hadn't gotten your pre-approved home loan locked in, now is the time. Stop waiting for a lower rate because they won't stick around, and neither will that house you're looking for either. The interest rates are sitting in a low 2%, which means by refinancing your 30-year mortgage, the home loan expert can save you hundreds of dollars a month. And are you struggling a little bit with bills and debt? I'm here to tell you your home is your biggest asset. And with the home equity so high right now, it's the perfect time to do a cash out refi. It can lower your monthly payments, give you cash to pay off debt, and have you skip a few mortgage payments. That's how you're going to crush 2022 right there with a little less worry. And did you know this also? Last year, the average cash out was about $52,000. So you've been sitting at home for months. People are looking at new homes and they are selling fast still in our area. Getting pre-approved is key to finding that dream home. At thehomeloanexpert.com, they can lock that in, project your payments, and get you pre-qualified. So when you find that right home, you can submit that offer and close on your dream home. The Home Loan Expert.com are doing more home loans than ever and are closing purchases in less than 30 days. So don't wait. Visit thehomeloanexpert.com.
Good morning. I'm Jonathan Shea for the Tennessee Titans. Will host the Cincinnati Bengals this Saturday at Nissan Stadium. Kickoff is set for 3:30. The Bengals, the lowest remaining seed in the AFC, as all 4 division winners will play in the divisional round of the playoffs. Cincinnati, Buffalo, and Kansas City all won their home playoff games over the weekend. The Bengals edged the Las Vegas Raiders 26-19, while Buffalo crushed New England 47-17 on Saturday. Kansas City advanced after beating Pittsburgh 42-21 last night in what was likely the final game of Ben Roethlisberger's career. In the NFC, San Francisco had the only upset of the opening round, defeating the Cowboys yesterday in Dallas 23-17. Tampa Bay won over Philadelphia 31-15. It wasn't even really that close. Tonight, final game of the Wildcard round as the Arizona Cardinals are at the Los Angeles Rams. Kickoff set for 7:15. You can hear the game courtesy of Westwood One right here on 104.5 The Zone. College basketball on the women's side, number 5 Tennessee, the Lady Vols thrashed number 19 Kentucky 84-58. Men's side today, Belmont visits SIU Edwardsville. Tip off at 6 o'clock. Preds are at St. Louis tonight, face off at 7. They'll try to snap a 2-game losing streak, tied for first place in the Central Division with Colorado. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once. On your Over the Titans and Vols, this is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Hour number 2, JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Everything but one wildcard weekend, super wildcard weekend, as they are branding it. In the books tonight, Arizona, Los Angeles, NFC West battle for the 3rd time this year. The winner will play Tom Brady. The schedule's already out. The Titans will be the first game up on Saturday afternoon, and then the other number 1 seed, the Green Bay Packers, will play Saturday night. So the number 1 seeds are going to get the extra time to rest if they were to win, because they're going to have an extra day on the guys that have to play on Sunday. Sunday, it'll be Tom Brady first against either Kyler or Matthew Stafford, and then Bills Chiefs, which I think most are probably going to regard as the marquee matchup of the weekend. That will be the CBS game that will end the divisional round. I look at it this way. I think all 4 games, I don't think you have any duds left.
Yeah.
San Francisco, it's been all chalk, which is, I think, kind of what you wanted to see as a football fan. The only where you didn't get chalk was San Francisco, Dallas, but I didn't really see that as a giant upset, because I didn't really necessarily, I wasn't over the moon buying into the Cowboys. The only reason I picked them was because I thought Garoppolo was going to try to lose it for him. And you know what? He did try to lose it for him. That pass was horrible. That interception was bad. Kittle then lost the ball but didn't catch it first.
Yeah.
So they say, but Garoppolo tried in the second half like 3 times to throw that game away. I felt vindicated, even though they won the game, because that dude ain't it either. They're going to be moving on from him too.
They are, man. As soon as they can get a full off season with Trey Lance and get him some more understanding, because I'll say this, as much as, you know, I even, of course, group chats yesterday talking through these playoff games is, you know, a lot of people have the understanding that Kyle Shanahan will get a little cute. You know, as long as he's not getting cute with Trey Lance and Trey Lance isn't making Jimmy Garoppolo type of mistakes, then they can have a very cool team. I'll say this, in a retro game of the 90s, Cowboys to Niners, it was a good game yesterday, though. I'll say this, watching that crowd run into that stadium, and then again having that stadium work against the Cowboys yesterday, I'm still not over that, man. That's one of the wildest mistakes you could ever made as far as building a stadium, was to have a crucial 2nd or 3rd down play yesterday, and where Dak needed a catch from Cedric Wilson, and they didn't get it because you were blinded by the amount of sunlight allowed in by Jerry's World, man. That was pretty bad. But of course,
great crowds,
Cowboys.
some great environments as well. Cincinnati was rocking, Kansas City was rocking, Buffalo was rocking.
Yep.
So you have your metric, you have your bar, Nashville. We're going to be there Saturday afternoon, and man, I'm expecting it to break the sound barrier if 22 is there, and I think he will be. And it's just going to be one of those moments where were you and hopefully the start of 3 wins for the Titans. Let's get to the phone. 615-737-1045. You can call us. You can take it wherever you want. We do have Mike Tanier of Football Outsiders in the next hour of the program. Always a good conversation with him, as well as Brad Hopkins, B-Hop, who's going to join us in the 4th hour. Not Eric in Nashville looking like B-Hop, as he called in the first hour, said he's mistaken for Brad Hopkins. And then said he was 6'1". I'm like, well, Brad Hopkins is not 6'1". So we'll just throw that out there. Let's go to Cuzzo Bam first. Bam, what's going on?
What's up, Bam?
Everybody doing all right?
Doing well.
Yes, indeed.
Man, look, I know Nissan Stadium is going to be off. Like, it's going to be unreal. I think it's going to be louder than the Music City Miracle in there this weekend, especially with the return of the King and stuff like that. But what I thought to talk about was the Oakland and the Cincy game. Great game all the way through. To me, I saw, like, it kind of gave me a little bit of hope because for some reason this particular week, like, Cincy depended on a lot of field goals. And, of course, they got some calls their ways, but it wasn't like they were just lighting the boards up with points, with just touchdowns and stuff like that. That last touchdown, I guess, to Boyd was kind of questionable, but it just kind of was like, okay, cool. If we come in and play our best defense, I think we can shake them boys up. You know what I'm saying? Because they didn't go crazy, and the Raiders' defense kind of held. Even though they got up the field, they did what they needed to do. But I saw glimpses to where I knew last night during the middle of the Pittsburgh game, Mike Vrabel was already planning last night to go ahead against Cincy. I already know it. I just felt them like, man, Mike is up studying tape already. He's finna go to work. So I could just see this defense this weekend. I think they're gonna try to eat. I think they're gonna try to eat like bad this weekend on when it comes to Joe Burrow. So tighten up. Let's get this W this week.
There it is. The Raiders that were a rush 4 team, they blitzed less during the regular season than anybody in the NFL. And they still were able to generate pressure because they have some talent. Max Crosby's just a monster. But Joe Burrow had never seen less blitzes in his career than he did on Saturday. If you look at it by the numbers, they did not pressure him very much at all, which is why I was a little surprised that his numbers were, they were good, but they weren't like off the charts good. He had a couple of touchdowns, but it wasn't like, 500 yards and 6 touchdowns. And Joe Mixon there was not much room for him to run. He had 17 carries for, I think it was 49 yards in the game. They're both their offense is going to have to be better if they want a chance against Tennessee. And Tennessee knows that as well. And whatever they can take from the Raiders played them pretty tough defensively. Yeah. It was not easy for them at all. Tennessee's got some dogs and they've got some playmakers that I think are ready to try and make a statement.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. And this is also the good thing. So you remember I've always said, look, making the Super Bowl run kind of falls on you having a good team, but also the ball got to bounce your way a little bit as far as luck goes. I'm on CincyJungle.com right now, and they're talking about their injuries that Cincinnati sustained this past game also. And one of the guys that's come up, we hadn't played all year, is like Jesse Bates said he'd rather have Geno Atkins back this weekend. And I don't know how effective that is or if Geno wants to play, but Ogunjobi being out, Trey Hendrickson had an injury too, and I don't think they're expecting Mike Daniels back this weekend either from he had a groin injury in the game, or he's been battling a groin injury. So since he's falling on a little bit of a hard time, as good as that defense has been, also, I cannot minimize that. Their defense has been pretty good.
It has. They need Hendrickson, though.
Yeah.
That head injury, that's one to keep your eye on. If you're a Cincinnati fan, that guy has been excellent. He's been a great free agent signing for you. You can't afford to have him go down. Like he's a guy that you absolutely are going to have against the Titans to really have a shot. It's a great matchup. It's a matchup we knew we were going to get next year in the regular season because it's 2 division winners. You're getting it ahead of schedule. It should be a whale of a football game. It should be. That's a really talented young football team. I'm excited to see their stars here too. And then I'm, hopefully excited to see the home team do what the home team can do against them. But it's a 3-point spread right now in favor of the Titans. I think the over-under is in the low 50s, mid 50s, somewhere in that neighborhood. The expectation is it's going to be a close football game. And that's probably how it'll be talked about.
And for Cincy, it doesn't help either playing on this Saturday game.
No, it does not.
Yep.
That is indeed true. It'll be the first game up, as a matter of fact, on Saturday afternoon at Nissan Stadium. We'll talk about it, of course, and break it down all week long on all the shows. 615-737-1045. I know Cousin Joey in Cross Plains is on the line. We'll get to him after this break. 737-1045, wherever you want to take it from the football weekend. And if you're ready to go ahead and start smack talking Cousin Danny of the Burrow, of the Joe Burrow, that is, you go right ahead. We'll be right back. It's JMart and Ramon, 1045 The Zone. Few questions I want you to ask yourself on this cold Monday morning. How's your heating system doing? How cold are you if you're in the house right now? You're not going to work today because of either the holiday or the weather. This cold weather comes around pretty quick, and it's been pretty severe so far over the last handful of weeks. And it looks like we might have another event this weekend or early next week. So you need to make sure your heating system's taken care of. Is it around 10 years old? It's starting to get long in the tooth. Is it providing the best possible air quality for your home? If it's time to replace your heating system, your friends at Lee Company, my pals, are making it easier than ever. I just did it like 2 months ago. So it was one of the better decisions I've made because things are running efficiently right now. I'm upstairs where it used to be super cold. Feels very comfortable here. If it's time to replace your heating system, call today. Take advantage of Lee Company's exceptional HVAC financing offer. This is key. You'll receive special financing for up to 60 months. That's 5 years, 60 months, or up to $1,250 off select high efficiency systems. So go ahead and save money up front. And then high efficiency means lower bills. It's going to be running better. It's not going to have to pump nearly as much energy through to get the job done. So 60 months special financing or up to $1,250 off select high efficiency HVAC systems. Call Lee Company today. Learn all about their current financing and service special offers. Here's how you do it. 615-567-1000. That's 567-1000, or visit them online at leecompany.com/promotions. Welcome back on this Martin Luther King Monday. A lot of snow on the ground outside. Maybe not as much as some people thought we were going to get. This one's certainly not as problematic as the one that we dealt with a week and a half ago or so. And we're just out of an abundance of caution being in the mornings, decided to broadcast from home today with the overnight freeze and a little bit of extra that got dropped in the overnight hours as well. But hopefully if you're out on the road, you're safe. 615-737-1045, JMart and Ramon, 11-year NFL veteran, involved for life, Ramon Foster, Jonathan Schaefer, Jason Martin, at Ramon Foster, at Schaefer on Sports, at JMart Radio, at JMart and Ramon. Ben Roethlisberger called his time with the Steelers an honor, played his entire career there, won 2 Super Bowls, played in a third. You just kind of knew that this is what was going to happen last night. I know the NFL can be weird, but there was one team that was just way better than the other one. And I didn't know where the Steelers were going to generate offense from. And generally speaking, they didn't find any place to generate real offense from, Moan.
They didn't, man. And I knew that going into the game. Heck, everybody did at that point. First score being defensive was appropriate for the Steelers. And truth be told, Kansas City came out on a mission to say, hey, you know what? We got our jet fuel now. We're going to just try to run through everybody they possibly can. And it started with Pittsburgh. The offense couldn't move the ball on the ground or through the air. It was some passes that were there that went through wide receivers' hands. But again, I think we talked about this in the 6th, so you brought this up in the 6th. At least you didn't get, a big goose egg as far as points go. 42-21 ain't respectable because you gave up 42 points, but at least it's not a complete shutout. And it was on the road, bad look for them, but end of an era when it comes to Ben Roethlisberger in Pittsburgh. Man, say what you want. He's won a lot, done a lot. And it might be a bleak future for the Steelers moving forward as far as trying to find a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, unless Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers or something, it's probably not an answer they can necessarily find this year unless they just get really lucky with a mid-round draft pick or somebody that falls into their lap. I mean, maybe they keep Pickett in the state of Pennsylvania. I don't know if he's the guy either. I know the guy doesn't exist on their roster now. I know it's not Mason, and I know it's not Josh Dobbs, and
or Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah, right. Most franchises don't have the guy in waiting. Green Bay got lucky, the Colts got lucky. And again, Aaron Rodgers fell into Green Bay's lap. He dropped in the draft and ended up falling to you. So it could be rough for them, especially when you look the Titans play the Bengals on Saturday.
Yeah.
Cincinnati doesn't have the air of last year's Cleveland team where I'm not sure about them because I like their quarterback. Matter of fact, I really like their quarterback in Burrow. They may be ahead of schedule and they may come here and lose by a couple touchdowns next week. I don't know. But they're going to be heard from for a while because they're putting together a really nice team. They've already got a lot of pieces that you like. And they have what you need offensively to be able to score points in a points-first league.
Yeah, it is. And truth be told, about that Pittsburgh situation as far as quarterbacks being on a roster, it's just so hard nowadays with the way quarterbacks are just pushed into starter roles, or you got to have a certain, what do you want to call it, a certain reputation about you before you get the starting job. I mean, because let's be honest, with what Taylor Heinicke did in Washington, I mean, it's very commendable. It should justify him being a starter. But, I know they're probably going to try to go find somebody else to draft another guy at some point, or he's just a holdover until they find the person that they want. So, and to that same point, think about what a starting, a real good franchise quarterback does for you. People will talk crap about Tannehill all day long, but he's one of the best this organization has had in recent history. And that's also including other first rounders, that have come through this organization. So if you don't have a quarterback more times than not, you're going to be skating on a razor blade as far as wins and losses and just being relevant, just being completely honest. That's my opinion.
No, it's a good one. 615-737-1045. Let's go to cousin Joey in Cross Plains up next year on JMart and Ramon. Joey, what's up?
What's up, my fam?
What's going on?
So, Jay, who are we playing again this weekend?
Cincinnati.
It doesn't matter who we're playing. We got 2 D9s in the backfield with the King coming back. We've got one of the best combat catchers in the league. We got the gravity puller in with Julio. We got a quarterback that can sling it and he can run. We got the big blue wrecking crew, and we got an awesome defense. So all you jabronis in Cincinnati and all the fans, come get you some. If you can smell what Mike Vrabel is cooking. Tighten up, gas pedal.
Couldn't play Stone Cold Steve Austin after a Rock promo.
This is what this week is about to turn into, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he had a
look,
couple
we're gonna be able
stumbles, so I couldn't play Stone Cold. We had
okay. Fair enough. What? The problem.
What?
Look, we're going to be able to break this down from every angle, and all our guests will be able to talk about it now that we know who the opponent is. It went chalk. You didn't end up getting New England or Pittsburgh, who I think you would have liked either one of those two teams, certainly more than, and the Raiders, I guess, even though the Raiders have some talent. Cincinnati is the best team you could have seen. And that's just kind of the way it is. Like, to go through, you're going to have to go through the 4 and either the 2 or the 3 to get to the Super Bowl. Good news is they have to come here. You don't go to them. Whether it's Buffalo, whether it's Kansas City, obviously we already know Cincinnati, they all have to come to your building. You have them in your facility to beat them. I think the questions that we'll start asking is, which quarterback would you rather have? Joe Burrow in year 2 with the confidence that he plays with and his skill talent, or would you rather have Ryan Tannehill? Joe Mixon's a really good back, but I don't think that's a question mark. If Derrick Henry's playing, you want Derrick Henry. Then you love A.J. Brown, but Jamar Chase is a pretty studly wideout who is doing unbelievable things in his rookie year. Things that you just don't see, quite frankly. And then you look at it, we're going to break it down from all of these different angles, so you can take it wherever you want. Let's go to Doug in Nashville, who I think wants to talk about number 17 for the Titans. Doug, what's up?
Hey, happy MLK Day to you guys.
Same to you.
Hey, now.
Of the remaining quarterbacks, it goes without a doubt that it's Rodgers and Brady. Okay, 1 and 2. Okay, where does Tannehill fall? 3, 4? I'm just curious how people feel about it, because we know that that's what steers the ship is a good QB. So where does he fall?
Not 3 or 4.
I'll hang up a little. I felt the same way, but I try to be curious.
Yeah, no, I understand. I mean, well, let's just be real. You said Brady and Rodgers.
Rodgers, yeah.
Patrick Mahomes is 3. If you're by your metric, Patrick Mahomes is 3. Josh Allen's 4. Then you can start to have a debate. We'll see whether or not it's Kyler or Matthew Stafford tonight.
Yeah. Where's Joey B then?
Joey, see, that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
I mean, Tannehill's probably like 6th. Doesn't mean he can't win. He's not. He's higher than Jimmy G because he's not a guy that's going to throw the ball to them when he's got his weapons. Like, he's not a guy I believe is going to throw a bunch of interceptions. However long the Titans are set to play over the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it is. But he's not Rodgers. He's not Brady. He's not Mahomes. He's not Josh Allen. And that right there is why, if you look at the schedule, you really can't be upset with how this is scheduled. You would have liked to have had a Saturday night or a Sunday night. Everybody knows Bills Chiefs is the marquee matchup of divisional weekend. Then you get Aaron Rodgers in one game. You get Tom Brady in one game. Those two guys move the needle more than anybody that Tennessee or Cincinnati has right now. So Cincinnati goes first. They then get the most rest of anybody.
Yep.
Then the other number 1 seed that's probably got the MVP of the league, and Aaron Rodgers, he plays on Saturday night. He doesn't play on Sunday either. I don't know that it even matters at this point because of the amount of star power that's available on all of these teams. Somebody had to play first.
Yeah.
So it ends up being you. I don't know that anybody is miffed about that. I have no idea whether or not that's a talking point out there or if anybody feels disrespected, but they shouldn't. There's just a ton of star power. And that's another reason why Tannehill is probably ranked. I mean, what's fair here? There's 9 teams left. Okay.
Yeah.
So you got Burrow, you got Allen, you got Brady, you've got Jimmy G, you've got Patrick Mahomes, you've got Stafford, you've got Kyler Murray. All those guys are remaining right now, in addition to Ryan Tannehill. So, I mean, Tannehill's in the bottom 25% of that.
Yeah.
Bottom third of that. And that's really not a slight to him. It's just he was 10th to 13th best quarterback somewhere in that neighborhood in the league. All the dudes that are ahead of him are the guys playing right now.
And that's why I sit with him. Like, Me personally, I'm taking Tannehill over Jimmy G.
Me too.
And can I say this and not just run rampant with it? I'm taking him in this Titan system. I'm taking Ryan Tannehill in this Titan system over Stafford.
I might. I need to see what Stafford does tonight. I need to see what Stafford's doing in the playoffs. If they go out tonight, you're dead right. And this would be one where I can give you flowers because you didn't buy into Stafford as much as I have going into this season, where I picked the Rams and thought he could be the difference maker for them. There's two guys that probably need to be talked about more. One of them is Stafford. The other one is McVay if they lose. Stafford's the one that's going to take the entire fall because the narrative's out that the media absolutely – the media sends chocolates to Sean McVay. They love them some Sean McVay. But truth be told, if they get beat, especially if Stafford plays well and they get beat, it might need to start falling on him because even Peyton Manning got the can't win the big one talk. McVay got shut out in a Super Bowl. And then since then, it's kind of been he's been great for you in the wild card or the divisional round. That's about it. Like that. Once you get to that point, that's about been the ceiling. Now they go spend all this money. If Stafford goes out, doesn't throw any interceptions, and they get outdueled tonight, I don't know what you say then if it's a classic game. But if they lay an egg, eventually the head coach has to start taking some kind of a fall, especially when his disciples, guys that coached with him, are doing more. Matt LaFleur is the number one seed in the NFC. Zach Taylor, who got a job because he once paid a bar tab for Sean McVay, he's in the divisional round. And Cliff Kingsbury, who could beat him tonight, who got his job largely because he was associated with Sean McVay. It's like everybody else that was around you is doing better than you are.
And then they're running around with the smarter than everybody else stigma as far as no draft picks, as far as trading for guys. And this year in particular, as many guys as they've traded for it to get to the point to say, hey, look, respect us. Hey, look, we're attraction. Hey, look, we're out to win games. We're selling in right now. You said something a second ago when we were on break. You was like, Super Bowl or bust. And you said, that's when I knew.
Yeah, as soon as I heard Jerry say that, I was just like, well, I can't wait to see them get beat on Sunday. I didn't pick it just because of Jimmy G. But I never thought they were getting to the Super Bowl. The second he said that, it's just like, well, he's doomed his own franchise again. If he could just shut his mouth for about 10 seconds, they might have a shot.
But in that same world, we got to start looking at what the Rams has done as the same thing. Jay, this is a lot of moves they've made this offseason. They've acquired guys that they didn't necessarily have to. They got a guy back who was a Cam Akers. With the Achilles, he's backing in the fold. You got Vaughn, you got Ramsey, you got Aaron Donald, you get Matthew Stafford from a Cabo conversation. Like, think about all of the moves that you've made. You got a 40-year-old playing left tackle. If that's not the ultimate, let me sell out so that I can get a Super Bowl because I got a 40-year-old that used to play in a bad Cincinnati team that I continuously bring back. And yes, I know Andrew Whitworth has done all the things. I've heard Sappho talk about him in the fact that, look, he prepares like a pro. He's well-conditioned. He does all the right things. But, Jay, if I was to say, man, I got a 40-year-old left tackle on my team that I'm still starting, that sounds almost as if, look, it's time for me to I want to get this guy a ring. I feel like that's the conversation that's being had whenever you talk about a guy like Sean McVay and all the things they've done with this team here and with that team there in LA with the new stadium and everything else. Look, that pressure is going to come to you. Like, you got all of these, and it feels like Lakers 2.0 or 1.0 because I feel like the Rams did it first.
Yeah. I would actually say this. So I wrote down all the quarterbacks again so that I would have them in front of me. Right now in this system, the argument you made for Matthew Stafford, I might make that argument against Kyler Murray also.
Oh, for real?
Because I think Tannehill's a better leader than Kyler Murray is. Based on everything you hear and the body language on the sidelines from Kyler when things aren't going well, how often he's sitting by himself on the bench and things like that. I would rather have Tannehill, I think, in a situation where you need somebody that can help will you to a win. I think I would want Tannehill over Kyler, even though I can understand the talent argument and the ceiling argument and the athleticism. I can understand why you would take Kyler. I'm not sold on Kyler Murray. I need to see something from him tonight as well.
Yeah.
And they haven't been the same without Hopkins either. So a lot of this, maybe he's down in the dumps a bit because he knows he doesn't have his his real alpha out there. And from what I read, Hopkins ain't playing tonight either.
No, he's not.
That's
not.
big. Like, really?
Yeah.
The Rams have no excuse not to win that game.
Yeah, no.
Without him
absolutely.
playing, they should win that game by 2 touchdowns.
Man, but again, I just don't know if the Rams can pull it together. I'll be completely honest. I don't know if they possibly can. I feel like their defense has kind of been found out a little bit when it comes to honestly handling, because that's all you can do, handling Aaron Donald. Vaughn isn't getting home as much as he should. Fowler is always going to get you a penalty here or there. And again, nobody's going to throw to Jalen Ramsey's side, but the other side of that secondary can get a little bit
It's
worse.
a problem. It absolutely is a problem. You're exactly right. So my ranking for Tannehill of the quarterbacks left, to answer the caller's question, would be 6th. I would put Burrow. I would put Burrow above him, just because I love watching Joe Burrow, and I'm blown away by, really, you want to talk about an MVP candidate?
Yeah.
Burrow should be talked about more, just because that franchise had nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And he's come in 2 years. He showed flashes last year, and he's already taken the year 3 Josh Allen steps a year ahead. And Josh Allen was the top 3 candidate last year. So I would say 6 for me. You can argue Kyler Murray if you want. I would rather have Ryan, just because I've seen him lead.
And you
if
know
Kyler
what?
starts to lead, then the sky's the limit.
To your point about Joe, just to back you up on this a little bit, Joe threw for 4,600 yards, man. He was 70% completion rate in an offense that's not catered to rolling out and, actually the gimmicky offense. This isn't a gimmicky offense. He's actually dropping back and completing. But this is the other thing. Imagine, though, Jay, for a guy like Joe Burrow, as far as the justification of that, if he wasn't sacked 51 times.
No, right. Absolutely right. Like that's the thing, is finding a way to keep him upright. I think that's one of the reasons they tried to run the ball as much as they did on Saturday, was to try. They knew that the Raiders had good pressure, even though they were doing it with 4 guys.
Yeah.
And so I think they wanted to try, and they were a little more conservative than usual, because they wanted to try and protect their quarterback, which they ended up winning the game. So that worked out for them. Let's go to Susie in Chattanooga, and we'll try to get these 2 calls in before the break. Susie, what's up?
Hey, I've got a dilemma. First of all, tighten up. I love the Titans. I've loved them ever since they've been here. And I've got my birthday is Wednesday, and I've got a cousin that's the same day in Alabama. And we've been planning a birthday get-together, because we've never spent our birthdays together, but we were going to have it on Saturday. Now, my Titans play Saturday, and he's got the sweetest wife, and I'm sure she's got something planned, but I can't have nobody talking to me when my Titans play, because I'll get very irate. So do I call and say, can we do it Sunday, or do I go on down there?
Susie, it's
playoff
football. It's playoff football.
I know.
I think you tell her you gotta reschedule it. The weather might even be better on Sunday. You might feel better after the Titans win. So what better celebration than in order to just wait it out? You don't want to lose a friend, Susie. That's the thing about it. You don't want to lose a friend because she's interrupting you and she hadn't seen that other side on game day.
Oh, she knows. They know that I'm a Titans freak. And okay, I'm going to reschedule. And if they get mad, they get mad.
And you know what? If they get mad, start 2022 with a little less worry with them, okay? You don't have to worry about them for the rest of the year. They should understand this.
Okay. And Ramon, I love you. The only thing I got against you is that Steeler crap. But since you've been on, I love the morning show. Y'all are great. And I listen to you every morning. I was in Nashville until July, and then I moved down here, and I was like, I have got to get away to get on that radio and listen to them, because I really enjoy it, and y'all are very informative, and the only thing bad about you is that Steeler crap.
Look, you said it right, Susie. Appreciate the phone call. Crap is right. Crap is right. There was a big old pile of dung in Kansas City last night.
I can't even be mad at her because she was so sweet and considerate. She didn't want to.
She would probably bake you something. Like she'd bring you cookies and then say, "Only the Steelers crap, but enjoy these cookies."
Poop fest.
615-737-1045. Trey wants to chat with us. We'll actually take it since that was a little bit lengthier. We'll take Trey's phone call after the break. 615-737-1045. JMart and Ramon 1045 The Zone.
Joe Burrow is ready. Hopkins snaps it back. Burrow drops back to throw. Looking. Rolling out to the right. Still looking downfield. Burrow throws it toward the back of the end zone. Boyd leaps. He makes the catch.
Unreal. I heard the whistle before the catch.
Yep.
That's why Jerome Boger's officiating crew not expected to work again this postseason. They shouldn't have worked in the postseason at all. Like I still don't understand how in 2022 you can't do better than Jerome Boger in your playoffs or in your regular season.
I looked up, just to see if there's other refs that's been suspended or fired. And it was 2018, the Browns-Charger game, where the sideline judge didn't call a blatant false start, turn into a Chargers touchdown. So it's happened before. But Jerome Boger's been talked about for weeks, if not months or years, when it comes down to his crew.
Let's go to Trey. We said we'd get to his phone call. Trey, go right ahead.
Hey, what's up, fellas?
What's up, Trey?
Hey, Jerome Boger. Oh, my God. What is wrong with that man?
He's the worst.
Dude, it seems like every time I turn on the TV and watch a Titan game, he the official. I'm like, oh, Lord, we getting ready to lose.
Yep.
Hey, but y'all better start putting some respect on my quarterback name for real, though.
Why so?
Because he's number 13 as far as active quarterbacks. The only quarterbacks that leads him is Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. He's got better numbers. He has better numbers than Patrick Mahomes. He has a 2-to-1 ratio as far as touchdowns to interceptions. Like, why he's not being shown love? And the LaFleur thing. LaFleur wouldn't even have a career if it wasn't for Vrabel. So how can the student overcome and get MVP before the teacher? Why is that? Why is LaFleur getting all this love? Tannehill's not getting any love, or Vrabel. Like, what's going on?
All right, Trey, we appreciate the phone call. Those two things don't have anything to do with one another. Matt LaFleur's won 13 games in 3 consecutive seasons. Mike Vrabel hasn't won 13 games, I don't believe. I'm not suggesting anything. I think LaFleur, I think that Mike Vrabel should be your coach of the year, and it should be a landslide. And Zach Taylor should be 2, and Matt LaFleur should be 3.
Okay, so Vrabel is getting a whole lot of respect and praise.
Yes.
He's getting a whole lot. Like, again, he's got 2 former teammates on the ESPN NFL pregame that talk about him all the time, and rightfully so. It's not like they're just paying a debt to him. No. And it's also, he's the number 1 favorite, I think, at least for the people that talk about it, as far as coach of the year goes.
Yes.
And again, as far as Tannehill versus him being the 13th overall quarterback, I think that's in the league. But right now, a lot of those quarterbacks, Jay, to your point, are still ahead of him.
Yeah, they
when
are.
It comes down to it, like Tannehill's touchdown to receiving, touchdown to interception is 21-14.
Well, again, we did this last week. If you look at his stats and Carson Wentz's stats, they're pretty close.
Yeah.
And that's not – look, I like Tannehill. Stop with the – he's better than Patrick Mahomes. He's better than Josh – you didn't even mention Josh Allen. Better than Josh Allen. All this other stuff, like, you're doing him a disservice because those are not sound arguments. Like, you just can't do that. You can talk about how much you like him, how you feel like he's disrespected. He's not in a class of Patrick Mahomes. I'm sorry. Like, I know some people don't want to hear this. Dude, he's not in the same stratosphere as Patrick Mahomes. No. He's not.
And that's okay.
It is. Because very few people ever have been.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Again, I said a second ago, I'm taking Ryan Tannehill in this system over Matthew Stafford.
And I agreed. As you said it, I agree with you. I would go Rodgers, Brady. Well, I guess, look, Tom's the greatest of all time. Maybe even Aaron Rodgers right now. Maybe. One of those 2 guys, Patrick Mahomes, you could easily take number 1. Mm-hmm. Josh Allen, the way he played Saturday, very few people in the history of the league have had a better game than Josh Allen had on Saturday night. His talent's undeniable. And then you can start making an argument there. Do you want Tannehill over Joe Burrow? Maybe you make that. I can't. I would take Joe first. Then I think I would take Tannehill over Stafford, for your point. And over I don't know about Kyler Murray's leadership. and I need to see a little bit more from him, and then certainly over Garoppolo.
Like,
So I think 6 is right where he should be, 5 or 6, wherever you want to put him.
It really ain't wrong to give somebody, you know what I'm saying, a little bit of praise, but and knocking them a little bit too. Like Tannehill's very, very solid. I wouldn't trade him out for nobody right now in what this team has, because the way in which he's selfless, he don't care who get praised, and he find ways to make crucial plays. That doesn't, I mean, we're not dissing Tannehill.
No, you can absolutely win a Super Bowl with Ryan Tannehill. I think we believe that. With AJ healthy, with his weapons there, he is certainly a guy that you can win a Super Bowl with. Garoppolo almost won a Super Bowl, and Tannehill to me is a far superior quarterback to Jimmy G in terms of trust, in terms of somebody I would trust. Now I know he's turned it over a little bit more this year, but I don't think that's who Ryan Tannehill generally is when he's got his weapons. So it's not disrespectful to say he's not as good as Brady, Rodgers, Mahomes, Allen. Maybe you would say it's disrespectful to say Burrow. I wouldn't. And if Justin Herbert were playing, I'd take Herbert over him as well.
Yeah,
that might be the only other one right now, at least in the AFC, because I'm not sure about Lamar at this point.
Me
either. Just really not. So 615-737-1045. 737-1045 is the telephone number. Hour number 3 straight ahead. Mike Tanier, Football Outsiders, in 25 minutes. More your phone calls, reaction to Wildcard weekend with one more game left to go tonight between the Cardinals and the Rams. It's JMart and Ramon, 1045 The Zone. Hey, next time you're at home, start just kind of looking around your home. Maybe a lot of times you don't just walk the perimeter of your house or your property to see what might be going on. If you notice cracks in your bricks, cracks in your concrete, your basement wall bowing, your chimney leaning, you got doors and windows that seem to be sticking regardless of the weather, all the drywall separating, all these signs of possible foundation issues with your home. And these are things that can devalue your home, shorten the life of your home, cost you a ton of money if you continue to let them fester. You need to get them taken care of. Nobody does it better than my friends at United Structural Systems. USS has been doing this since 94, nearly 30 years in business, integrity and reputation off the charts, and locally owned, not a franchise, which means they customize solutions for you depending on your specific needs as a homeowner. United Structural Systems comes out, gives you a detailed free estimate before you ever have to make any kind of a decision with anything they do. And then they finish the job before you ever have to pay. So they offer you everything you could possibly ask for up front before you ever have to open up that wallet. That's how you know you're dealing with good people. You will be satisfied. Over 20,000 happy customers can tell you it's a great call to make. These problems don't go away on their own. So call United Structural Systems today and get ahead. 615-227-2275. That's 227-2275, or online at USSTN.com. United Structural Systems.
8:03, good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. We know the opponent, we know the day, we know the time. The Tennessee Titans will host the Cincinnati Bengals this Saturday. Nissan Stadium, of course, kickoff set for 3:30. The Bengals, the lowest remaining seed in the AFC, as all four division winners will play in the divisional round of the playoffs. Cincinnati, Buffalo, and Kansas City all won their home playoff games over the weekend. The Bengals edged the Las Vegas Raiders 26-19, while Buffalo crushed New England 47-17 on Saturday. Kansas City advanced after beating Pittsburgh 42-21 last night in what was likely the final game of Ben Roethlisberger's career. In the NFC, San Francisco had the only upset of the opening round, defeating the Cowboys yesterday in Dallas 23-17. Tampa Bay also won over Philadelphia. It was kind of a gross game to watch. 31-15 the final. Tonight, final game of the Super Wildcard round as the Arizona Cardinals are at the Los Angeles Rams. Kickoff set for 7:15. You can hear the game courtesy of Westwood One right here on 104.5 The Zone. College basketball yesterday, women's style. Number 5, Lady Vols thrashed number 19, Kentucky, 84-58. Men's basketball today, Belmont visits SIU Edwardsville. Tip-off at 6 o'clock. Preds at St. Louis. In NHL play tonight, face-off 7 o'clock. The Preds will try to snap a 2-game losing streak. They're tied for first place in the Central Division with Colorado. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once. On your home for the Titans and the Vols, this is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Hour number 3, JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone, lifted up by our friends at All Four Seasons Garage Doors, allfourseasonsgarages.com. Go there to learn more. I did it just a couple of weeks ago. Good decision. Garage working better than I've ever seen a garage work. Better than anything I've ever seen. No question about that. The LiftMaster was a good investment, to say the least. LED light in there. Don't have to worry about lights in the garage anymore, and just the whisper quiet nature of this thing. And the fact I can open and close my garage from anywhere. And there's a keypad where I can do the stuff outside. I don't need my car keys for anything anymore, Mom.
Yes, sir.
I open my car doors with my phone. I open my garage with my phone. Pretty much my phone is my remote to life. At this point in time. 11-year NFL veteran, Ball for Life, Ramon Foster, Jonathan Schaefer, Jason Martin. That's us. At Ramon Foster. At Schaefer on Sports, at JMart Radio, at JMart and Ramon. One more game left in Wildcard weekend is tonight, Arizona and the Rams. All the pressure on Matthew Stafford because he's the one that will get blamed if it doesn't go well. His head coach probably will not, just because that's kind of how this has gone, even though eventually we do have to start saying, as much as you might like him, is something about this, is there something rotten in Denmark when it comes to being able to actually win a Super Bowl? If you're Sean McVay, when you go spend the kind of money that they have, give up the draft capital that they have, believing their window is now. Imagine your window being now, and then you go lose to Arizona tonight and don't even make it to the divisional round.
Hard times are real, man, and we're going to get that answer in over about 12 hours or so, Jay, as far as the start time of this game.
Yeah, somewhere in that neighborhood.
It's again, everybody, it's great breaking news whenever they make trades and get these type of guys into that building, into LA, but it's got to resonate to wins. And again, he's in the end zone celebrating touchdowns with players and stuff like that. It's all fine when you're winning. I think he needs this more than Cliff Kingsbury does at this point, though.
Yeah, I mean, Cliff making it, winning double-figure games, and at least looking okay in the last couple games of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's safe, even if they get beat tonight, especially with Hopkins being out. That gives you a lot of extra kind of plausible deniability where, okay, we can let this slide.
Yeah.
Mike Denier, by the way, of Football Outsiders, will join us in the next segment, and I'm going to ask him point blank. I listened to the gushing about the Bills after that game Saturday night. I saw it all day yesterday. Just everybody just slobbering over the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
And is it legit to feel that way, or was it more a function of the opponent? Like, Cincinnati Raiders, you thought would probably be close. It was close.
Mm-hmm.
I did not think that the Bills would win by 30, but I did think it would be more convincing than the 23-20 stuff that I saw predicted before that game started. And then those same people were like, this is why we believe in the Bills. It's like, well, you didn't believe in them enough to pick them by more than a field goal against a rookie quarterback at home.
Yeah.
In like 2-degree weather.
Exactly, man. That same group of people were the ones that their DBs were talking about as far as the disrespect and, the whole did you come to play type of scenario. I think that score was an indication of them feeling those press conferences in which they asked them, how did you guys feel about only 3 completed passes or 3 attempted passes in the last home game that you had? It'll be a shame, though, if they get to this next round and drop an egg to Kansas City, and then we're going to look at them again as the same 2021 Buffalo Bills. They give you a whole lot up front and then take it away from you. Like, that's the way I've seen them. That's no knock on them. I just think they don't have the recipe as far as sustaining a consistent season, a consistent record all year long.
They haven't. I still think the Bills are kind of the AFC's Rams until further notice. They can look stellar, but neither one of them runs the ball particularly well.
Yeah.
And they definitely have highs and lows. They've got some spots on defense where you can be worried about them. And at times the quarterback his valleys can be problematic. The other thing, again, the gushing was out of control, but one thing was, not only was it just one of the great quarterback performances of all time, but it was done in 2-degree weather, which makes it all the more impressive. I'm like, okay, it was unbelievable. I'm not suggesting that it wasn't. Josh Allen's MVP candidate over the last 2 years, and he's a stud. No question about it. Even if Dable leaves, and Dable's probably
out of
maybe
there.
He goes to the Bears, maybe he goes somewhere like that. Well, Ken Dorsey's going to stay behind. The quarterback coach who's been working with Josh Allen over the last 2 years, won a national championship for that unbelievable Miami team that was made up of pros back around the turn of the century. He's going to stick around, so their offense is going to be fine. And Josh Allen's a stud. Like, he's unbelievable. I just thought the gushing was a little much, considering I didn't think the Patriots looked like a playoff team for the last 5 weeks at least of the regular season. It felt like they had truly hit a wall. And I think Belichick should get a ton of credit for the coaching job he did, because they were limited. Compared to a lot of teams, them making the playoffs was a victory. A lot of people were taking shots at Belichick on Saturday and joking, we all knew now it's Brady. Like, it may be, but Belichick did a heck of a job. Josh McDaniels did a heck of a job crafting an offense around a rookie quarterback and making sure his guy felt comfortable, didn't have the speed at wide receiver that a lot of other teams did.
Right.
They just weren't that good. They really, really were not. Let's go to Kevin in Clarksville. Kevin, what's up?
What's up, Kev?
Hey, how y'all doing this morning?
Hello.
Good morning.
Morning. Hey, for all those Titan fans out there, shouldn't need to worry about Ryan Tannehill. He's okay, because I'm a Washington football team fan. You go back to, you remember who the 1991 quarterback for them was?
I remember Mark Rippon won a Super Bowl for him, and Doug Williams beat my Broncos.
That's right, Mark Rippon, but he wasn't all that great.
No.
Right.
Well, Tennessee Titan fans, relax. They can do it.
Yeah. I appreciate that call right there. He made a point. He was just like, get to it already, right, Kev?
Yeah. Kevin got it out of there quick. He's not wrong. Look, Trent Dilfer.
Yep.
Brad Johnson.
Joe
we can
Flacco.
talk about those guys, and I think Tannehill should be talked about in higher esteem than a lot of those guys.
Yeah, 100%. As long as they're not trying to build a statue out front already, Jay.
Yeah, look, if he goes through this playoff run the next 3 games, he throws for 400 and 450 and 350, and he has like 15 touchdowns along the way, then I think he'll be talked about differently.
Right.
But this team is built to run the football, and it's built play action through the run and to open up the run a little bit as well with A.J. Brown. Like, Tannehill in this system, he's perfect for this system, and he's been great as QB1. Nobody is suggesting otherwise. You do get to the point in the playoffs where oftentimes it's who's the best quarterback? Oh, that team's going to win. Look at it all weekend long. Garoppolo and Dak, you take your pick. I'll take Dak in that situation. That might be the lone aberration. I think Derek Carr's really good, and it looks like the Raiders are backing him, but Joe Burrow is a stud. Josh Allen is better than Mac Jones. Patrick Mahomes at this point is far superior to Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah.
Tom Brady is on another plane, astral plane from Jalen Hurts. This is how it goes. When you get to this point in time, a lot of times it comes down to who has a better quarterback. So that becomes the question going into this weekend is Tannehill versus a second-year Joe Burrow. We'll see. Joe Burrow last year got the better of him with a bad offensive line. The defense is a much different animal this year, and the defense is going to be called upon to try and even those scales a little bit more than last year. We've got Mike Tanier on the other side, Moan.
Yeah.
Very curious to see what he has to say. Football Outside. I'm gonna lead off by saying the Titans are the team that might break your website because everywhere you read, they shouldn't be here. Look at the analytics. Look at the stats. Yet they're the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
So eventually rubber has to meet the road. So we'll talk to Mike Tanier, our friend over at Football Outsiders, on the other side of this break. It is JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is counting down the Super Bowl 56 with a huge offer. New customers can get 56-1 odds on any wild card team to win their game. You can bet $5 and win $280 in free bets if your team you pick is victorious. All customers can also get in on the DraftKings Hammer the Over promotion. For every 5,000 bettors who take the over for tonight's game, the point total will lower by half a point. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code WGFX and get 56-1 odds on any NFL team. You can bet $5 and win $280 in free bets if your team wins. But you got to use the promo code WGFX at DraftKings Sportsbook. You must be 21 years or older and present in Tennessee to bet. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
perfect world, everybody's healthy, which running back would you want?
Oh, my goodness. I would take Jonathan Taylor, guys. I'm sorry. Derrick Henry, he's taking too many hits. Taylor's a little bit better as a receiver, a little bit better as a breakaway guy. I'm sorry. Folks, I will not be in Tennessee for months and months here, so I should be okay with this. I'm going with the younger, oh, my goodness. Oh, the Price is Right music and everything.
Yeah, that was Mike Tanier with us a couple of weeks ago. Actually, it might have been more than a couple of weeks ago, 3-4 weeks ago, when Jonathan Taylor was still being talked about in different circles.
Whoops.
As related to the MVP. I think that a lot of that has probably gone away. It is JMart and Ramon. We have not gone away. We're with you until 10 a.m. this morning on Twitter at JMart and Ramon, 11-year NFL veteran and ball for life, Ramon Foster, who, Ben could have used him this year to help create, and Najee Harris could have used him as well. At Ramon Foster on Twitter. Jonathan Schaefer, boy, Ben could have used him this year. Najee Harris could have as well. At Schaefer on Sports. I'm Jason Martin. I'm at JMart Radio. Mike Tanier is actually with us now from Football Outsiders. Mike, good morning.
I am reporting you to the FCC for harassment for that intro there. Are you guys are going to tape me and put that Derrick Henry on every time I'm on the air now?
Maybe.
Yeah. Actually, I got another question for you now. This coming Saturday, which quarterback would you rather have, Joe Burrow or Ryan Tannehill?
Oh, my goodness. Let's go with Ryan Tannehill on that one. I'll tell you what. I want the Tennessee Titans offensive line over the Cincinnati Bengals offensive line. I'll say that in an absolute heartbeat because I know they're going to, protect Tannehill and they're going to help. I believe Henry is back, run the ball, and I don't know what the Bengals offensive line is going to do for Burrow and Mixon.
So we're going to talk more about the Titans here in 1 second, but I got to ask you this because after the Bills beat the Patriots Saturday night, the gushing that I have heard over the last 24 hours or so it's been next level stuff. I mean, people that I really like and listen to their stuff religiously weekly, talking about Josh Allen. This is one of the greatest performances of all time. Your buddy Aaron Schatz at Football Outsiders saying it's the second highest DVOA since like 1876 or whatever like that. Like it's absolutely preposterous. So tell me this. Is this more because everybody believed in the Bills at the beginning of the season and now they have a little bit to chew on here? Is this more about the Patriots not really being a playoff team when you really break it down? Is this legit? Like, where are you right now on the Bills scale?
The fluke was the 40-mile-an-hour wind Monday night. Patriots only throw 3 passes game. That was the fluke. That was the outlier. The reality was that the Bills, like we thought at the beginning of the season, far superior talent roster up and down than the Patriots. And they showed it a couple weeks ago in the regular season rematch, and then they just showed it completely, on Saturday night. So that was them at their peak. And right, Football Outsider says that was the second best or third best, I forget, offensive performance of the last 40 years. That's how dominating that was. How sustainable is it? I don't know, because we've seen the Bills have games kind of like that, and then 2 weeks later they lose to the Jaguars. So if they sustain that, obviously they're in the Super Bowl, but we have to see if they can sustain it.
So I've asked Aaron Schatz this before, and people have tried to ask me to explain it simply for somebody, let's just say wasn't a math major, not necessarily somebody that hangs out in database chat rooms a lot and things like that. Explain in the simplest terms that you can what DVOA is. Like if somebody were to ask you that, how would you simply try to explain that so that anybody could comprehend it?
Okay, so 1st and 10, Derrick Henry runs for 8 yards. That's a very good play. Everybody's excited. That's a good play. That's what Derrick Henry does for us. So he gets some points for that. Okay. 3rd and 7, Derrick Henry runs for 8 yards, like on a draw. That's a phenomenal play. That's like an exciting, game-changing potential type of play that indicates that he's a superstar. He gets a lot of points for that. Say it's 3rd and 25, and they run a draw play, and Derrick Henry gains 8 yards. It's like, what are you calling, Downey? What play call that? That was pretty much useless. You get almost no points for that. Okay? So each situation is different. And, of course, if it's an 8-yard touchdown from the 8-yard line, that's a huge, huge play. Each situation is different. Derrick Henry will get a different amount of points, and the Titans offense a different amount of points for each of those things along the way, based on the situation, based on the success. 8-yard play better than a 1-yard play, etc. You take all those points, You wrap them together. You account for the opponent. Oh, you did that against the Bills. That's extra exciting. You did it against the Jaguars. Who cares? Or that's not as big a deal. You take all that. You run it through the math blender. You come out and you have value of each individual play that the player, the team, et cetera, had above or below average in the NFL. Make sense?
More so, yeah. I mean, I've kind of understood it because I know it's situational and I know it's based on play. And DVOA kind of the median line is what an average team would do in that situation, and then it's plus or minus compared to what an average team in the NFL that year would be doing in those scenarios, right?
Yeah, that's it. So like Henry gets that 8-yard run, the average running back gets a 3-yard run, so he's above average on that. Tannehill throws a 15-yard pass, Roethlisberger takes a sack. Whatever. And so some are above, some are below average, some are way above average, some are way below average. And it gets very complicated because each situation is different. Red zone versus 1st and 10 versus 3rd and 15 versus 3rd and 1. But they all get normalized against the average. You put it together, and it comes out, and it's a rating that works for the team, for the offense, for the defense, or for the individual players.
Yeah, we're not. There's some sums up with Ramon's mic, so I'll continue to talk to you, which is okay.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
We're having that again. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. You did not break him, but I will say this: the DVOA thing. Tennessee fans love talking about DVOA because I would suggest to you, Mike, that if the Titans were to win the Super Bowl this year, you guys need to change your banner to two-tone blue, because at that point in time, it feels like to me the Titans are the team that would break your website, because I don't know, every article I read says, they're 20th in this and they're all this kind of stuff. And they're the worst number 1 or 2 seed of all time and all this kind of stuff. Stats are, I guess, meant to be broken, but the Titans do kind of break statistics, do they not?
Yes, and part of the reason why is, we can only rate the games that were played and who was on the field. One thing we don't do is we don't go under the hood and say, A.J. Brown and Julio Jones and Henry were all out in that game, and, that's why you lost to the Texans. Because if you start doing that, you start line item vetoing, you're not doing something objective anymore. You're kind of going in and you're putting your finger on the scale a little bit. So our system looks at the Titans and says, you guys lost to the Texans, like during the playoff chase. You lost to the Patriots and got beat by the Patriots. It doesn't know what happened to the offensive line. It doesn't know that you had your third string left tackle. It doesn't know X. It doesn't know Y. It doesn't know Z. And that's one of the reasons why the Titans are so low in these statistics. So, all we can do is roll with what we have. And if you've read Aaron, he says part of the reason we do this is this system does not account for injuries. And we know we see a healthier Titans team last 2 or 3 weeks and in the playoffs than we saw earlier in the year.
So as far as Dallas goes and that game against the 49ers, I just got to ask you, was the 49ers the better team or did just Dallas just drop the ball on everything? Because this team is built, as Jerry said it, to win, and they're not simply winning right now. Well, they can't
There's
anymore.
There's no question that the Cowboys are the more talented team, but when you commit multiple false starts, when you commit multiple, illegal formation penalties, when you hold on every passing play, and most of these holds are real holds. It wasn't like, they're being ticky-tack with the holds. It doesn't matter how talented you are not playing football at a playoff level. That's what happened in that game. I think it was 14 penalties by the Cowboys. The Cowboys love to blame the referees. It's not the referee's fault when it's a false start. It's not the referee's fault when it's a neutral zone infraction. They had a couple of those. It's not the referee's fault when you take a delay of game penalty after a fake punt. You have this big play to get you in the scoring position, and because you're disorganized, it's 1st and 15. So that's what Mike McCarthy has to look at, and I think that falls on him. That this team at a very fundamental level was so penalty prone that it hurt them against the Cardinals. It hurt them against the Raiders in the regular season. That's why they didn't have a first-round bye, because of those losses, and it hurt them in that game. So the Cowboys may have been a more talented team, but the 49ers played a much better game.
Mike, it's 2022. How is Jerome Boger still the best the NFL can do? I don't even know why he's refereeing in the regular season. He might be the nicest human being on planet Earth, but that
Yeah.
dude has sucked as long as I've watched football. Like, he's got to be one of the worst officials I've ever seen, and his crews routinely screw stuff up. How in the world in the NFL playoffs can we not do better than a Jerome Boger crew in a wild card matchup?
Because your alternative is Sean Hockley's crew.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, you might not even know. You might think you're watching like a rugby match or something if that was the case. But no, there are better officials than Hockley and Boger, certainly. And I don't know how Boger drove that game. The best I can say about it is that there were so many calls that were bad or questionable or weird on both sides that it kind of balanced out, and it felt like justice at the end. But one of the happiest pieces of news I saw on Sunday morning was that Jerome Boger is kicking the rest of the playoffs off, and we will not be seeing his crew anymore because that was a very, very rough Bengals-Raiders game.
Yes. So touchdown or no touchdown when it comes to the Cincinnati call?
Oh, that's a touchdown. Your choice there is to say, well, a guy blew a whistle early, so the signature highlight for a team that was playing much better than their opponent, we're going to take that away because a guy somehow blew a whistle an entire second before the quarterback ran out of bounds. So if you say the rules are the rules and you do that, then we're talking about how there was a miscarriage of justice in this game. We could be talking about the Raiders in the playoffs because of that, and I would rather be talking about how bad the officiating is than how unworthy a playoff team is. And that's what we would have risked had they not did some home cooking and said, nope, we didn't hear a whistle, let's just move on.
So this weekend, as far as the Bills and Kansas City go, do we expect 40-plus point games again or what?
Oh, I hope so. I think so. Now, of course, these defenses are very good, but the offenses are so explosive right now. And the final score of the other one was a 38-20. I think in Week 4 it was 38-20. But I'm looking for a shootout. Vegas is looking for a shootout. The over is 53 right now, and I would bang that right now if I knew a weather forecast. So that's what we're looking for, and I'm just thrilled that we have this matchup because, we saw a penalty game. We saw a lot of blowouts this weekend. I want to see Bills-Chiefs, Allen versus Mahomes, absolute shootout game, and I can't wait for it next week.
Philadelphia, I know you obviously cover them and watch them very, very closely. Jalen Hurts, is the experiment over in terms of him being a QB1 that can win you a Super Bowl? I love the dude. I want to root for him. I rooted for him in college. He's one of the just most humble, just nicest dudes. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm watching him, and I'm just like, the difference in that game was so stark watching him try to play quarterback against a top-flight defense.
Yeah, that was a rough game. It's funny how we say that, but we don't say the Mac Jones experiment is over. When
Fair point.
Patriots offense looked terrible for a month, but he gets to be the next Tom Brady still. I think the Eagles have 3 first-round picks, and they're super aggressive in trade market and free agency. And I believe they will fire their put their line out there. Hey, Russell Wilson, how disgruntled are you really? Hey, Aaron Rodgers, would you like to come and meet the Eagles fans? I'm sure you guys will get along great. I think they're probably going to do those things. When that stuff inevitably falls through, because I don't think either quarterback is excited about the city of Philadelphia and the cold and our sometimes irascible fan base, then I think that the Eagles are going to upgrade their receiving core, upgrade their pass rush, et cetera, and I think they're going to go roll another year with Jalen Hurts because as bad as that game was, he had a lot of very solid games, and he offers a lot as a quarterback.
So as far as this weekend goes, Titans and Cincinnati, I know Ogunjobi has had some issues. I know Hendrickson should be good to go this weekend also. But how do you look at this matchup?
Well, if the Titans can get sacks, they're going to get a win. And the Titans' pass rush has been good for much of the year. Sometimes it has its little brownouts. But you beat the Bengals by pressuring Joe Burrow, forcing sacks, and making sure that Jamar Chase doesn't go ham. Hendrickson, they need Hendrickson. Bengals need Hendrickson to win, obviously. If they don't have him, forget about it. I think the Titans are going to roll. Like you said, he's going to be back. At the risk of giving you guys more fodder, another tape for me. Right now I'm leaning towards the possibility of a Bengals upset. I've seen them play better football in the last couple of weeks, saw them beat the Chiefs. I haven't seen the Titans have a really dominating victory since the Rams game. I guess that was Week 9. So as of now, I'm leaning towards a possible Bengals upset.
Well, I mean, I think the Miami win, they dominated Miami pretty strongly.
Maybe
you just don't buy into the Dolphins.
That's part of it. I didn't buy into the Dolphins there, and they were in the process of falling apart around their quarterback. So, yeah, I mean, that was a dominating win. I mean, I was trying to think like the playoff statement type win there, and I didn't necessarily see that in the Dolphins game.
If indeed Derrick Henry is playing, and obviously the boost that's going to be to this city, and what it's going to mean, and how loud the building's going to be for him, what do you think? What do you expect from him? Like, watching football as long as you have, do you expect rust? Do you expect pitch count? What do you expect from Derrick Henry?
I don't expect pitch count. I don't think that's how he or the Titans roll. I don't expect rust. The one thing we may see, I do expect to see is 8-man boxes, attempt to stop him. Probably a game plan that features him very early, because I don't think the Titans do a lot with. We're going to surprise you with our game plans, like we're going to come at you, straight ahead with running and play action. So it might not be that Henry has this phenomenal game in terms of rushing yardage early, but if he's forcing stacked boxes and if he's creating opportunities over the top for the receivers and Tannehill, then I think that's the impact he's going to have, especially early in the game.
The idea that, they can get to Joe Burrow does he have the ability, honestly, to extend plays and break down this Titans defense? And what I'm asking is he good enough to try to expose this team as young as he is right now in the NFL?
The one thing he does very well is buy time in the pocket. He is not a scrambler by any means, but when that pocket is collapsing, and it's collapsing a lot, he will escape the pocket. He will step up in the pocket, and that's when a lot of the deep shots do come, not just to Chase but to the other guys. So what you need to do is create a pocket that is sort of collapsing in all directions, so he has no choice. He has nowhere to run. And I think that's one of the things that I saw the Titans pass rush has been really good at this year, where you can get Autry and Landry and these other guys in there, and it's not like, oh, I'm just running away, like I'm running away from Max Crosby, against the Raiders. I'm running away from Max Crosby, and now I can deliver a pass on the run. You've got to collapse him from all angles, and then because he's not Lamar Jackson or by any means, he's going to have to tuck that ball and take sacks, get in the 3rd and long, and then the Titans can play the game they want to play, which is they're moving ahead of the sticks, they have the lead, and they can dictate to the Bengals.
Mike, best open job right now, and do you buy into the idea of Flores going to Houston and partnering up with Deshaun Watson, who's behind closed doors, seemingly trying to get rid of some of these cases, settling a lot of these cases, and he and Flores, if you buy into what you're hearing, they're not only friendly, they want to work together?
Well, that would be the ideal case for Flores because he needs a quarterback he trusts. He obviously did not trust Tua. I don't know what Flores brings to the table in terms of offensive coordinators. We'll have to see because he was always cycling through those guys on that end. And, of course, the Texans front office is sort of chaos, too. I don't know how much patience Flores will have working with Easterby and that group up there. I keep going back and forth on the most desirable job. Denver has like a very good young roster, but they have to solve their quarterback situation. I think Minnesota is a rebuild, so that's a potentially bad situation. I wouldn't hate the idea of going down to Miami and rehabilitating Tua and having that defense and having that young roster down there and getting a chance to do it. So right now, that's what I'm thinking. That's the job I would want. But if you ask me 2 hours from now, I may have a different choice.
Now, it won't be, but we'll ask you this on the way out, and just to add more tape that we can then use against you later on. If it comes down to a situation where Ryan Tannehill has it on his shoulders to get you to a Super Bowl, to win you a Super Bowl, let's say they're actually bottling up Derek or Deontay Foreman, and it's on Tannehill. Is Tannehill a good enough quarterback to get the job done?
Yes. This is not magic, okay? This is a veteran it's not like you have to be Tom Brady to do this. You're a veteran quarterback who makes good decisions, has a good arm and good legs. You can do that. And I've seen Nick Foles do that and get to a Super Bowl. I've seen Jimmy Garoppolo do that and get to the Super Bowl. I saw years ago Joe Flacco do it and get to the Super Bowl. Ryan Tannehill is superior to all of those guys. He has, taken teams to the playoffs. He's won big games. He can definitely do that.
Great stuff, Mike, man. We appreciate you getting up early as always, and didn't give us as much fodder as maybe some people would have wanted.
No, I said I'm leaning towards the Bengals in an upset here. You guys can crush me next week on it.
There it is, Mike. Have a good day, brother.
Take care, guys. Enjoy your week.
That's Mike Tanier. Mike Tanier, Football Outsiders, leaning towards the Bengals. I think some people will. I think that line opened at 3.5. It's now down to 3.
Wow.
At least the
already?
last time I looked, I think it's been bet down about a half a point. I just think it's going to be a whale of a football game. I think that the divisional round, there's no duds to be found here. San Francisco is going to go to Lambeau and give them a game. They really are. There's just too much talent. Elijah Mitchell's running the ball. Like, he ran very effectively against Dallas's defense yesterday.
Yes, he did.
The difference there, I think, is Garoppolo and Aaron Rodgers. But we'll see. But you look at these other matchups. Cincy, Tennessee is just really appetizing. Like, that's a fun game. Kansas City, Buffalo is obviously a very fun game. And whether or not you get Tampa for the second time against the Rams or the first time against the Cardinals, that's good stuff too. Like, there's no duds in this. There's no duds remaining to be had, including tonight's game, which is absolutely not a dud either. 615-737-1045. Reaction to Tanier and the football weekend. You can go ahead and jump back on the line if you would like to. It's good stuff from Mike. He didn't completely bury himself.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
No.
He tried to pander to the crowd at first.
Yeah, he did what he could. B-Hop. Brad Hopkins will join us in the fourth hour of the show as well. It's JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back, JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone, finishing up the third hour. Fourth hour still to come. Brad Hopkins. Talk a lot of two-tone blue and just the playoffs in general with him. Mike Tanier just joined us. You missed that podcast. It's wherever you get your podcast. Drops that 5-star review. We definitely appreciate that. So Tanier said, yeah, Tannehill is good enough. And I would agree with him. I mean, I think we haven't seen him have to put it on his shoulders against teams like this, but you got a good step against Houston. Because Houston was about to win that game and Tannehill wouldn't allow it. On a day where the defense didn't have it, he had to step up and make plays. The running game wasn't quite as effective as it had been. That was a big step for him. If it's put on him against Cincinnati, we're going to get that answer. If Derrick Henry is there, I want to see how they handle him running the football. We have to see what the run offense looks like, what the distribution looks like. And he said, look, doesn't expect Russ, doesn't expect a pitch count. That's what Tanier said. And I agree, because I don't think you can have a pitch count with Derrick Henry, because Henry's a guy that has to get a lot of carries most of the time to really do the damage he's going to do, which is why I want to know how it will work, how often you will see Foreman, how often maybe you will see Hilliard.
Yeah.
There's going to be just a whole lot of Derrick Henry.
It is. And that's what's so interesting about Derrick coming back this weekend too, is how much Derrick do you want? You know, that's the biggest question. And I know the fans want everything, and possibly he's going to get it all too, as far as the reps, as far as, you know, the amount of yards that he can accumulate over this Saturday evening that's coming up. I'll say this, it will be exciting no matter how much he's out there. When you get the opportunity to see him in the stadium, the coverage on Derrick, I think, is probably going to be the biggest storyline as far as we're talking about exposure for the Titans and, you know, how the recognition and respect goes with this team. Derrick's return, I think, is going to be the biggest story as far as Saturday goes, according to the game, you know, just as far as coverage of the game.
Yeah, no question about it. It is the matchup that I think football fans should want. It's certainly a dangerous matchup, but anybody that you play at this point in time is dangerous. Anybody that makes the playoffs is dangerous outside of maybe New England, because it just didn't feel like they had enough horses, and you saw it. They still have to evaluate that. And by the way, for all the people that were like, oh man, we should have not let Jonnu Smith go, man, he did nothing for them this year. Nothing. He wasn't really a part of the offense. Hunter Henry was the one that they utilized. That didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point in time, like when you watched Ferkser in the final week of the regular season, if he can just be the guy he's been the last couple of weeks, I don't think you've missed much, honestly. I don't know what Johnny would have given you, because it just doesn't look like that's not the way the offense seemed to be trending. Let me read you something real quickly from Dan Graziano that I saw last night that I found really interesting about the coaching situation and the carousel as it relates to Tennessee. Graziano writes, haven't heard any buzz around the Tennessee Titans, around their coordinators, which surprises me a little bit. The last two offensive coordinators Mike Vrabel had are head coaches now in Green Bay and Atlanta. Todd Downing did a pretty remarkable job in his first year as offensive coordinator, maintaining an often dominant run game, even without Derrick Henry, and navigating the injury issues of top receivers Julio Jones and A.J. Brown. And defensive coordinator Shane Bowen, given more oversight this year, helped transform what was a not very good Titans defense last year into a strong unit this year. The Titans hold the top seed in the AFC and are regarded as a very well-coached team. If not this year, expect those names to be on the short list next year. I would love to know what Titans fans feel about, about the chances of those guys being on short list, but whether or not they think they should be. Remember, we heard this like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Like, oh, these guys are on lists. Well, they don't seem to be talked about at all right now. Should they be? Todd Downing takes a lot in this. He takes a lot on our show. He takes a lot on all the shows for what he's done coordinator-wise. Does he deserve more respect? Obviously, he's going to have an opportunity over the next few weeks to potentially up his name. But
right.
A lot of coordinators that you're seeing mentioned in jobs are other guys that don't have much of a track record. And they're getting interviews. So maybe the Titans coordinators are closer to this than we thought.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that turns out. I don't see them going anywhere this offseason.
I don't
be
either.
Completely honest with you. I see this team staying intact from coordinator to position coaches all the way through. But you brought up like Todd's name was brought up at some point. Shane's name was brought up at some point. I think it's midway through the season. I mean, you got to tip your hat to him, the job he's done, being able turn this defense around has been amazing.
Yeah. 615-737-1045. That is your telephone number if you want to react to anything you saw this weekend, if you want to push back against anything in terms of what you think the Bengals might be able to do and some of the things that you're hearing. Wherever you want to take it, you certainly can. We will have Brad Hopkins join us in about 25 minutes, fourth hour straight ahead. JMart and Ramon, 1045 The Zone. When you found your dream home and you're competing with other buyers to get your offer selected over theirs, this is not the time where you want to feel unclear about whether or not your own loan is going to be approved. Getting pre-qualified with the lender before you start house hunting makes you stand out from the crowd. That's going to give both you and the people that are selling that home that's your dream come true an extra layer of reassurance. So the question you got to ask yourself is whether or not you're working with a lender that's giving you the service you actually want. Lack of transparency, bad communication, those things can be frustrating at best. And if you've got slow service on top of it, you might miss your closing date and you might lose out on that dream home, even when you feel like you're 5 feet from home plate. If that's what you're experiencing, you're not stuck. It's just time to reach out for a second opinion. As the Southeast's leading mortgage lender, it's my friends at Mortgage Investors Group that are ready. They're here to help you not just get any loan, but the right home loan. Their team of mortgage experts actually cares. They know what they're doing, and they're committed to helping you close on time, structure things right, and realize all of those dreams. I want you to let MIG work for you. Go to migonline.com. That's migonline.com. Find the office nearest to you or text the 3 letters MIG to 31399 to get pre-qualified. Mortgage Investors Group, the right home loan. Equal housing lender, license number 109111.
9:02. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. The opponent is the Cincinnati Bengals. The day is Saturday. The place, Nissan Stadium. The time, 3:30 kickoff. Tennessee Titans hosting the Bengals in the AFC divisional round. The Bengals are the lowest remaining seed in the AFC as all 4 division winners will play in the divisional round of the playoffs. Cincinnati, Buffalo, Kansas City all won their home playoff games over the weekend. Bengals edged the Raiders 26-19. Buffalo crushed New England 47-17 on Saturday. Kansas City advanced after beating Pittsburgh 42-21 last night in what was likely the final game of Ben Roethlisberger's career. In the NFC, the only upset was San Francisco defeating Dallas 23-17. In Dallas, the Cowboys taking the loss. Also, Tampa Bay won over Philadelphia 31-15. The final game of Super Wildcard weekend is tonight. Arizona Cardinals are at the LA Rams. Kickoff set for 7:15. Game can be heard courtesy of Westwood One right here on the Zone. Number 5, Lady Vols thrashed number 19 Kentucky 84-58 yesterday. Belmont, Casey Alexander's Bruins visiting SIU Edwardsville. Tip-off at 6 o'clock tonight. Preds at St. Louis face-off at 7. Try to snap a 2-game losing streak, time for first place in the Central Division with Colorado. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? 4th hour of the hashtag fastest 4 hours in radio is upon you, upon us. We're blessed to bring it to you courtesy of our friends at All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Hit them up, step your garage door game up. It's one of the cheapest ways to really up the lifestyle at home and make your house just cool things that you can do with garage doors. And if you actually look, if your wife does the Pinterest thing, you can find it there, but you can find it yourself. A lot of people are removing actual doors to go into outdoor living spaces. They got garage doors now where you can look, you can see the kids in the backyard. And then if the rain hits, you just pull that thing down. It's just a new dimension. There's a lot of creative ways that you can utilize garage doors. And our pals over there at All Four Seasons Garage Doors and allfourseasonsgarages.com is the website. Go there, talk to them, see what they might be able to do for you. You'll be surprised at all the cool things that you can do. So, 11-year NFL veteran, Vol for Life, Ramon Foster Johns at Schaefer. I'm Jason Martin at Ramon Foster at Schaefer on Sports at JMart Radio at JMart and Ramon. So, first take opens up. Stephen A. Smith's wearing a Cowboy hat and he's laughing about the Cowboys losing. I thought you were a Steelers fan and either a Jets or a Giants fan.
He's a Steelers fan.
What a phony. Like, I know you don't like the Cowboys, but you actually want to clown them when one of your teams is one of the embarrassments of the league.
Playoffs. Yeah.
And then the other one got absolutely housed last night, and the offense has been abysmal. So, yeah, you can go after the Cowboys all you want. And look, I have no problem with you going after Dallas, but have some perspective. You know what I'm saying? Like, we know who you're a fan of. It seems like you don't care that your own team lost. You're just happy to see somebody else lose. That just shows you Dallas moves the needle. So we're going to open with Dallas. I'm going to talk about Dallas because this is more TV than it is honest.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And he made the video last night alluding to it. Like, like it's about to go down. And Dallas fans don't help themselves either. The crying in the stadium, I don't hate to laugh, and you know I don't. But the crying that was caught on national television, and it was time left in the game. That poor lady knew her team was about to lose, and there was nothing she could do about it. Heck, Jerry was up there slamming his fists on the desk and stuff. So it's hard times are real for Cowboy Nation, man.
They didn't run it well. Dak wasn't great. CeeDee Lamb only had a catch. They didn't look like the better team yesterday. San Francisco did. And now Green Bay gets to play San Francisco. And San Francisco's knocked them out of the playoffs 3 times over the last 9 years. So that's the one team I think Packers fans would rather not see. But they're getting a lot of guys back. The expectation of Za'Darius and Bakhtiari and Jair Alexander, and they're the best team in the NFL. Although if you listen to the pundits, if the Bills actually play like they should play, which apparently Saturday night is supposed to be exactly what the Bills are all the time. If they're that team, then they're by far the best team in the NFL. You're hearing that all over the place, which just tells you Kansas City's going to beat them by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's all it is. The Bills are like a roller coaster, man. It's ups and downs, and it's excitement and just also fear when you one of the people that root for them. I still don't, like I said, call me what you want, but I can't get over the fact that the Titans did them like that in front of the world, and they're still getting this type of praise.
Yeah, well, I mean, from week to week, you're going to see teams lose games. I mean, they lost to the Jags. They didn't look great against the Jets, but the Titans lost to the Texans, and the Chiefs found a ways to lose bad games. All like one win or whatever is whatever it was. I mean, and then if the national guys want to have their cake and eat it too, they can just say, well, Josh Allen slipped on 4th down, or they would have beaten the Titans anyway, and all this other kind of stuff. You can always try to find ways to excuse it away. But more than anything, the thing this business hates to do more than anything else is admit it's wrong. And the Bills from the beginning of the year were the darlings going into the season. Yeah. Everybody was talking about the Bills. And then when the Bills underperformed, they just found a way not to talk about them very much and wait until they came back around. Mm-hmm. But I don't know that the Bills are the Golden State Warriors from 4 years ago that can flip a switch. I don't know. No. I just don't know that the Patriots are very good. They do this against the Chiefs, we can have a different conversation. If they do it against the Chiefs and the Titans, we can definitely have a different conversation. They certainly have the talent to do it, but to call them consistent, to me, I think they're closer to being the AFC's version of the Rams, even though I like Josh Allen a lot better than I like Matthew Stafford at this point in time. But, you know.
So with with exclusion of tonight's game, though, Jay, this new format that the NFL has, Super Wildcard Weekend. On a scale of 1 to 10, though, the results and how the games have played out, what would you rate this as far as the way it's been set up?
Well, I mean, you just in terms of like how much fun it's been?
Yeah, how much fun it's been. Was it worth it with the 1 bye week and stuff like that?
I like the extra team.
Okay.
Because here's what the extra team has done. It's made it so that the stuff at the end of the season means even more because you have an extra team fighting. So you got more fan bases that care. Mm-hmm. Heard Jason Smith of Fox Sports Radio make this point about how the NFL has successfully become baseball. That baseball, when they added the wild card teams, just added more to where you can all you got to be is mediocre.
Okay.
Until mid-season, turn it on in the last month of the season. Look at the Atlanta Braves. Atlanta Braves just won the World Series. They were below 500. Like just a few months before the end of the season. It creates a scenario where you can flip a switch late. I mean, there were only 3 teams in the AFC going into the final week that weren't going to make the playoffs. Like something like that. It was like the Texans and the Jags and the Broncos and the Browns. Everybody else was still in play.
That's true.
That's all you want if you're the NFL. But if you look at the results themselves, you tell me. I thought Bengals Raiders was fun. I like that game a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Bills
even
Patriots,
with the controversy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I thought that those 2 teams played hard.
Yeah.
And that was a physical football game. I thought the nightcap was not good just because it was a blowout, and I don't like watching blowouts, even if they're impressive blowouts.
Yeah. I would probably rate this an 8 out of 10 simply because I think the Bucks Eagles game,
that was horrible.
Yeah, that kind of put a damper on the entire weekend, but across the board, and like I said, it got to a point also, as you were just saying, with the Chiefs and Steelers, where I just flipped it off. I'll be completely honest with you. It was like watching somebody who's already knocked out and they're continually getting punched. There was nothing to really see from that. Bengals Raiders, I'd pretty much give that one a 9.5, 10. Bills Patriots, like you said, it was the blowout, but the idea that it was so disrespectful in which the Bills were on the goal line and they threw a touchdown to an offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
And on the other hand of it, you had Kansas City do the same thing to Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was going to ask you about that play. How about TJ getting thrown?
That's a holding penalty. That
should have been a penalty, right? Like you can't do that. Like I've never seen a receiver able to actually throw somebody down in that. Like TJ immediately looked at the official.
Yep.
And I was just kind of, because Collinsworth, as he's describing, he's like, TJ looks at the official like, no way can that be legal.
Yep.
Pretty sure it's not.
It's not legal at all. Imagine if that was the case then. you're blocking a defensive lineman, then you just throw him to the ground. Heck, I would do that on every single play. And he got away with it. And truth be told, that's a little bit of home cooking. That's also a little bit of do you take back the touchdown to an touchdown? Exactly. You know what I'm saying? All of those things. So I'm not saying that played a factor in it, or maybe they just missed it. But TJ got tossed to the ground, man, and should have been a call. Wouldn't have changed the outlook on the game. I think a lot of people are excited about the Niners beating the Cowboys, although the Cowboys were the favorites. Really good matchup, man. I'm about an 8 out of 10 if I had to give a grade to this weekend so far, man.
The nightcap wasn't one you needed to watch for too long on Saturday. The Bucs Eagles wasn't great. Cowboys 49ers got real dramatic and fun in the second half. The Steelers Chiefs was kind of what you thought it would be. A slog, and then the Chiefs pulled away, and the opener was good. There's a lot of NFL football. I'd probably give it like a 6.5. I think divisional round is going to be unbelievable. Let's go to Brian before we got Brad Hopkins coming up on the other side. But Brian wants to talk about something. You want to talk about choosing violence. Let's talk about this. Brian, what's up?
Hello?
Yeah,
you there?
Brian, what's up?
Hey, guys. Hey, good morning. Good morning.
Morning.
Wanted to talk about the Tennessee Vols basketball team, man.
Oh,
what's going on with Rick Barnes and Folky and all that good stuff? I just want to get your guys' take on that, and I hope you'll have a good week and tighten up.
There it is.
Appreciate you, Brian. So that topic, which we'll talk about more with Ron tomorrow, certainly.
Can I say this real quick?
Yeah.
Vol Nation, stop trying to fire every coach because they have a little bit of a lull. I'll stop right there, and maybe y'all feel different than I did, but that's also, well, is this enough for Rick Barnes? When was the last time we had stability across the board? I know it ain't perfect, but firing every single time?
I would say this. You know what you got with Rick Barnes. You got a coach that wins a lot of games you're probably not going to win a championship with, but you're relevant again in the scene. It's not as much about Barnes to me. Fulkerson just doesn't have a killer instinct. He just doesn't. Like, he does not want to take over games in the way that maybe he even did as a younger player. Ron sort of alluded to that when he was on with us last week. But, like, this team shoots too many threes. Kenny Chandler's unbelievable. It's like him and then the rest of the team. Like, there's just nobody else out there that stands up to that. And when you're the second best team in America defensively, you give up 107 points to Kentucky. And their offense has scored 90 in 3 games this year. I understand they got a lot of talent. That was embarrassing.
It was.
That was embarrassing.
And I'd say this. Nobody saw that team shooting 79%, though. So when you have a bad game on top of a super senior not having a really good game, either 2 points, that's what happens. 107 points. That's what happens.
Eventually, look, the coach is one thing, but the coach can't shoot the ball, can't rebound the ball, can't force anything. He can only tell you what you're supposed to do, but eventually the players have to play. And let's just be real. Over the last few games, players just haven't been good enough.
Nope.
They haven't been. Like, at times they've looked the part, but boy, they didn't look the part against LSU, and they darn sure didn't look the part against Kentucky.
No. Boy, we definitely got to get more into that, man. By the way, go Lady Vols, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. On the flip side, doing wonderful things are the Lady Vols. We'll have Brad Hopkins when we come back. We'll talk about Titans Bengals, Derrick Henry's return, what he is seeing across the landscape right now in terms of the playoffs, all of that. Great conversation to be had. It's next. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Hey, I want to talk to you about hair loss. PAI Medical is here for you. You've thought about this. You certainly don't want to go the artificial route. You've seen how bad that looks. You're worried about losing hair, and maybe you're in early stages. Well, they've got laser therapy for you at PAI Medical. That's something that can actually just kind of reverse it, stop it dead in its tracks. Here's the key thing. When it comes to your hair loss and doing something, if you find something that you believe in, you should do it today. So when I went to PAI a couple of months ago, because my crown was thinning a little bit, I'd noticed it in some pictures and there's some hair loss in my family. When they showed me the plan, I didn't wait too long. When I knew I could trust Michael Ramsey and his staff, I jumped in full bull, because why would you wait? Don't wait 6 months or a year where it's going to get worse. Nip it in the bud as fast as you possibly can. The faster you get to it, the better you have a chance in terms of the results that you want. Surgical, non-surgical, the most advanced techniques anywhere in the country. All they do is hair. And how about this? You might think it's way out of your price range. It's not. When it comes to cost, there are affordable payment plans to fit anyone's budget. Just go talk to them. Let them show you the plan that they have. They'll show you your head. They'll say, hey, here's what we think we can do with this. Here's what we can do with this procedure. They're going to help you through it. And once you meet them, I promise you, you're going to be sold. I was. It wasn't something I'd ever thought about doing until I sat down with them, saw their plan, and said, you know what? Let's do it. I want you to call them and tell them you heard me tell you. 615-376-6010. 615-376-6010. Talk to Michael and the staff. You'll be blown away at what they can offer you. Or visit them online at wegrowhair.com. That's wegrowhair.com. Welcome back in, JMart and Ramon, 1045 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. All4seasonsgarages.com. That's the website. It's one I used a couple of weeks ago. Got the LiftMaster in, rocking and rolling with our garage. We stepped the game up big time. You should do the exact same thing. You'll be glad you did. JMart and Ramon's where you can find us on Twitter as well. Guests appear via the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline, including this man, Hoppy. Brad Hopkins, known very well to this market and certainly to Tennessee Titans fans. Brad, how are you this morning?
I'm doing pretty good, fellas. How are you?
Pretty good. You got a big game tonight to be paying attention to, I would say, right, with the Cardinals and the Rams?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they've all been big, but, of course, I have particular personal interest in this one. But, yeah, it's an exciting game nonetheless. Two divisional rivals. You got to like those wild card matchups, right?
Yeah, no question about it. So what have you seen this weekend that has stood out to you? Obviously, we'll talk Titans-Bengals here in just a second, but just overall, what have you seen?
All gas, no brakes for the Bills, man. We heard Jerry Hughes talk about how they felt disrespected, which they should have. Whenever you allow a team to rush for over 200 yards on you, they felt a particular way, especially in their own backyard. So they took that focus into this first weekend of the playoffs, and they just dismantled the Patriots. I mean, we looked at Bill, befuddled on the sideline as to how his guys were just being taken advantage of like they were. Now, given the fact that they were facing number ones in a lot of situations, I think scoring defense, scoring offense, the Bills hold both of those in check. But they also have, of course, one of the stingiest secondaries in the league. So get turnovers wasn't a surprise, but the fact that they were able to just even take the run game away from the Patriots, that's a surprise to me.
With the way that Buffalo just kind of, I don't know what you want to call, disrespected the Patriots, and it's Bill Belichick and whatnot. Do you expect Bill to kind of just put a Post-it note up on a board and say next year when it comes to getting revenge against them?
Well, put it this way, it's not his division to just run roughshod anymore. You know what I'm saying? I think that when you look at the competition around him, even the changes in Miami are going to bring a more fruitful product because, I think Tua is their answer. And they surround him with the right guys like they did with Waddle and whatnot. Then this makes more of a division that, these guys just can't just kind of, take advantage of like they did when Tom Brady was the quarterback. But he does have an answer for that guy. You know what I'm saying? I think we made these comparisons early on between Mac Jones and Tom Brady for a reason. They're both quick studies. They're not fleet of foot, but we did see Mac Jones have to run for his life a couple of times. 4 first downs, but yet and still, he was a guy that can move the offense. Extremely smart guy, knows how to read defenses. And that's the biggest thing about, young quarterbacks. How well do you read defenses? That tells us a level of maturity that basically tells an offensive coordinator how much he can put on a young guy's plate. You know what I'm saying?
So as far as that goes, though, would have been the young guy and so much on his plate. That game, was it a consequence of that? Like, I didn't know whether the Bills are back or if the Patriots just ran out of gas because of that young rookie quarterback and, that defense holding up his end of the bargain a little bit longer than I think they're used to as far as New England and offenses go.
Well, I mean, put it this way, Josh Allen, he was setting team playoff records for a reason. 5 touchdowns. We saw the local product, Dawson Knox, well on display here. He's been that way all season. I think he's got 9 touchdowns, 10 touchdowns, and deservedly so. He's been a nice little prospect. But the way that they rush the football untraditionally has been a boogaboo for most defensive coordinators. Josh Allen is, a hard dude to tackle. Plus, not only when you can't load the box to slow down this young Ben Roethlisberger, because why? He'll throw over your head after that. So I think that dual threat combination is one that makes them kind of like an amoeba of sorts. You know what I mean? I mean, it's not like Lamar Jackson doesn't have those same capabilities, but Lamar Jackson, he's going to run around you, not over you. You know what I mean? So I think that, ultimately they have kind of the same element, but they've been able to use it almost to perfection this year.
Bills Chiefs is a marquee matchup. Obviously, you have all the star power. You have MVP candidates at quarterback. Do you feel like the Titans are being talked about enough, considering the seed that they are and considering the fact that they've beaten both of the two teams that I just mentioned?
I don't think that the Nashville market is on the national radar just yet. I mean, I know that we are from us hosting, a couple of events and things of that nature, but for the most part, we've always been a team that kind of, relatively lived in the shadows. I mean, why isn't Mike Vrabel being mentioned more of Coach of the Year conversation? for the way that he's been able to keep this team on the rails when they've lost their best players at points during the season. To find themselves winning the conference, with a number one seed, positioned perfectly, to get a healthy Derrick Henry back, to kind of push their agenda of getting into the Super Bowl. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. And here's a Bill Belichick product, one that we've seen beat him this year, begrudgingly. But I think, the fact that this team, I think that this is the way it operates best, though. If you look at its personalities, if you look at the character of this team, it doesn't say, look at me, look at me. There isn't some, yearning for them to be mentioned. I think that they best work, they work best basically when they're not being mentioned like that. But yeah, I think that there is, a void of conversation about the Titans and, just how, capable they are this year of actually doing it.
And then their opponent, how dangerous do you feel like Cincinnati is? Do you feel like they're ahead of schedule, or are they right on time considering their skill talent?
Listen, I think that Joe Burrow is way in front of schedule. You know what I mean? I think that when you look at just the focus, even after they won the division, he didn't care. I mean, sure, let's puff a little cigar and whatnot, and we'll celebrate. But for the most part, we're on to the next game. And even after they just put the dirt road whooping down, they still have that same kind of focus, that same mentality. And this is for a young dude, Yeah. I think Joe had unfinished business last season, fellas, and he picked up right where he left off. He said, well, these are the things that we're going to have to do. Well, we're going to have to win the division. We're going to have to get into the playoffs. And he's checking off all these boxes, So I think that, just like we talked about, young guys that have the confidence to lead men, by the way that they can dissect the defense, by the way that they continually put the offense in position to, be productive. That's what Joe Burrow was doing. And Zach's letting him just run it. You know what I mean? Not run it like, you do whatever you want to. You see what I'm saying? Giving him the autonomy to be who Joe Burrow is and who he has always been. It takes guys like Joe Brady, to unlock who this dude is. Urban couldn't do anything with him. You know what I mean? So it just shows you just who this kid is. He seems to have to overcome hurdles his entire career, and and deservedly so. This guy is like, one of the best things out there.
So for the next 5 years, would you rather have Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert?
Oh, that's a great question. Wow, that's a super question. I have to think about that. You know what, though? I'll be honest. I think that, Justin brings an element to the game that Joe just doesn't have. Justin is Josh Allen. You know what I'm saying? Maybe not to, maybe because he's a first, second-year guy, he doesn't have the muscle structure just yet, to look like that. But he still has that element to run over you, you know what I'm saying, or run around you. I mean, he's kind of really fleet of foot like that. And we already know that he has an arm, you know what I mean? So, yeah, he definitely changes the dynamic in a locker room. So I would actually take Justin just because of the running element more so than I would Joe.
So Brett, you've been on a Super Bowl run before to where one game after next, and then you get another game, and then you get another game, and that's where the Titans are right now. They skip, the first round of it, and you get a home game right now. Seeing the Cincinnati team, and I think everybody on this call and all the listeners can say, man, this matchup, you just don't know how it's going to go. You feel like the Titans are the better team, but Cincinnati got some weapons offensively and defensively. And as far as your run to the Super Bowl goes, certain things got to bounce your way. And one thing that's bouncing the Titans' way right now is one of their D linemen, Larry Ogunjobi, is out. You got Mike Daniels, who's probably not going to play in this game, and Trey Hendrickson, who's coming off of a concussion. Just, I guess, walk through the idea that, look, you don't have to just be the best. You just got to have a little bit of luck too.
You're right, and you don't have to be in position to let guys like Trey Hendrickson take advantage of the pass rush. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Getting behind in ball games puts you in those kind of passing situations, but if you can control the line of scrimmage like this team is capable of doing, especially with a healthy Derrick Henry. Not to say that Mr. Foreman hadn't done a hell of a job this year of being Derrick Henry, and he has. But for the most part, they've gained that identity back of being able to control the ground game, which opens up everything else in this offense. You know what I mean? So where their strengths are in Cincinnati, you can steer away from by just playing the smart game that we know that Todd and Ryan are putting together. You know what I'm saying? Now, what's going to also help is having the healthiest squad, I think, to this point that we've seen all season. We have the potential of having A.J. Brown, maybe Julio Jones, and Derrick Henry on the field at the same time. in crucial situations, right? It doesn't get any better than that. But we don't want to also stack the chips and say, hey, this is our hand right here, because you got to go out there and play the game. You know what I mean? And Cincinnati shows a focus that nobody wants to sleep on these guys, and I doubt that anyone will. You know what I mean? But the point that, it seems like, the home favorite, the home advantage, basically, your healthy team to this point, it just seems like all indications are that the Titans can come away with this one, but they've got to go out there and put together a sound game plan to ensure that they don't make mistakes and allow one to get away from them.
When's the last time you saw a rookie wide receiver and just a chemistry between a young quarterback and a young receiver like we're seeing with Joe and JMart Chase? Like, what Chase is doing is absurd, and he's going to have to be accounted for on every single snap on Saturday by the Titans secondary, and they're capable of it. But how good do you think this rookie is?
Steve McNair, Chris Sanders. You asked a rhetorical question, but I thought I'd answer it anyway. These guys, I understand what you're talking about, the magic, the energy, and it deservedly so. These guys are on the same page, and that's what makes a difference. I like when guys, like when Joe says, I knew that Jamar was down there somewhere. I just threw it up down there. He literally said that. And, guy comes away with a magnificent play. But that's the game that they're playing. You know what I'm saying?
It is.
A little pitch and catch, you know what I'm saying? A little 7-on-7. And there's nobody else out there in the stadium. There's nobody else out there on the line of scrimmage. It's just him and his receivers. You know what I mean? That's the way that he slows this game down. So, but I think that it's that chemistry that they would hope to capture in Miami. Same thing with Waddle. I think that's a cute dance that they be doing down there. And why is they able to do that? Because Tua and he have a connection. They're smart in trying to identify these. If you're asking a young guy to, basically run a franchise, surround him with the people that he can run the franchise with. You know what I'm saying? Like the guys that he's most familiar with. And I think it's just been smart on the part of these GMs and head coaches to understand that this product can grow and develop at the next level. If it's as talented at the collegiate level, why not give it a shot at the pros? Because this year it's certainly working.
Brad, you're a guy that made Pro Bowls and All Pro also, man. And we hadn't had a deep conversation about it as far as, Big Jeff getting snubbed as far as the Pro Bowl goes. But I'll tell you this, I'm pretty sure you getting that All Pro kind of trumped everything that came your way as far as just saying, you know what, I'm one of the best 6. I think it's 6 tackles, or was it best 4 tackles in the league. And that's where Big Jeff is. And he's behind 2 guys that I don't know if you can replace him with, but that All Pro means a whole lot more than that Pro Bowl does.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. I had a guy that has a All Pro vote ask me what I thought about Mr. Simmons just before he cast his vote, and I told him, glowingly, this guy is well deserving of that distinction, because he's a house wrecker, man. You know what I mean? I love the way he plays the game, and for those of us, what I'm talking about, that are tasked with protecting, you don't want to see him across the line of scrimmage from you. You know what I mean? So, but that also opens up everything else that allows Harold Landry to make plays. You know what I mean? It allows Bud to get open and make plays, especially when you're trying to at least keep an eye on this dude. There's too many guys up there blocked that can essentially get into the backfield. So, but you're right. Having your peers, the people around you, without subjectivity, without anything else, kind of give you that tip of the cap. It does mean a lot. You know what I mean? Because they can't take that away from you. It doesn't matter, what you finish as far as how many Super Bowls you played in or won, or whether you wear a gold jacket. That's one that, that you can always take with you too. So I'm proud of that, to say the least.
4 teams left in the AFC. Hoppy, how would you slot them in terms of how much you trust them? Not necessarily where they stand right now in terms of seeds, but in terms of a trust factor, Bengals, Titans, Chiefs, Bills, how would you slot them?
I want to see the Titans team that had the rushing leader before we started getting on Jonathan Taylor's bandwagon. You know what I mean? I want to see if we can get that band back together, because if that's the case, that's the team that I think no one wants to see, because we just talked about defensively how capable they are. Kevin Byard is a mad genius. I love that dude. You know what I mean? I love the fact that he's from just south of Nashville too, as far as where he went to school. So I think that, they had the makings of a championship team. Now, we saw what the Bills are capable of, right? I mean, punching Bill right in the nose. It doesn't get any more defined than that. Now, they did have motivation for that spanking that they took earlier this year from the Patriots. They didn't want to have that be repeated, especially on their home turf. So I think there's motivation there. And the focus for Cincinnati would be, Joe Burrow. Did you see how cool he looked with them specs on?
Yeah.
That's the Bengals. You see what I'm saying? That's the Bengals this year. This isn't the Bengals that we used to play in Riverfront. You know what I mean? Old Junkie Stadium. But this is this ain't your grandpa's Bengals, man. This is the new generation Bengals, So, and, of course, I think that the Chiefs, whenever you have a guy like Travis Kelce that can change the trajectory of a game, just by, just being a tremendous playmaker, and we see, Patrick running around there with the confidence that he has to look defenders off and, do all the things that have made him a great quarterback. They're starting to roll into that shape again, that form again, and they did that, by sending Big Ben home. I mean, the game, it wasn't even a game, really. Let's put it that way. It wasn't even a game. It was entertaining, to say the least, just to watch Ben and all the talks, but blah, blah, blah. It's whatever, man. I think that when you look at how do you rank these guys, though? I mean, they all have, I think, an equal footing in being able to take home a championship. I don't really see one added advantage because of the elements of the guys that are playing on each one of these teams, than another. But we have star power this year. I'll say that, though. We've a lot of times we got there on grit and determination and lack the guys that the nation knows about. But this year, no, we got some dudes. We got some dudes that can get it done.
Man, Brad, I must say, man, me being a former Steeler, having to brag on Cincinnati and hearing you brag on it too, it pains me, man. And you're not wrong at all either, just so you know.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that I'm sitting here talking to a former Steeler, I mean, I deal with these things. I mean, it's a competitive situation when you come up from the AFC Central. And you play against the Steelers twice a year. I'm just messing with you, bro. I love you. O-line pride, you know what I'm saying? But our most competitive matchups were against the Steelers because when I came into the league, we played you twice a year. We played the Bengals twice a year. We played the Browns twice a year. And it was gritty. You know what I'm saying? It was physical. Yeah. And that hasn't even changed since they've been in the North and we've been in the South. It still hasn't changed the way these two teams play each other.
Watching the Steelers O-line feels like both of you could have suited up and helped them out.
We could have.
Man, how much easier would it have been? You know what? Ben didn't say he's retiring yet.
Oh gosh, please don't. Please don't. He's got to go.
What if somebody said? Hey, you can play behind, one of the top 5 offensive lines in the league. We can guarantee you probably aren't going to get sacked maybe 17 times. Would you come back, Ben? Ben would be like, sign me up. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
I think that we're pushing him out the door because he got battered around a lot this year.
Yeah, he did.
I don't know that the O-line can help him throw 2 yards further on every throw because he pretty much throws them straight into the dirt. He's Carl Lewis throwing a first pitch right now. I can't continue to watch this.
You know what? That Brad, and just because you took a shot, I got to take a shot too.
Here we go.
That same quarterback beat the Titans this year, man. Is all I'm saying.
Oh God,
you're right. I can't argue that. Facts are a stubborn thing. I get it.
Hoppy, we appreciate you, brother. Good luck to the Rams tonight.
No doubt.
Thanks. You guys have a great day.
Dude, that's Brad Hopkins. Not kidding, man. You two could have suited up, maybe giving Ben an extra half second to underthrow his receivers all night long.
Golly, it was. Hey, you underthrow him because you think you're gonna get smacked in the face. That's why.
Okay. I think it might also be the fact that your arm is now fusilli and not real.
You know what? You got bigger issues in Denver, okay? You worry about Dan Quinn and this monster staff he got.
Dude, if he's got a monster staff, I'm talking myself into Dan Quinn. 615-737-1045 is the telephone number if you haven't gotten a chance to react. 737-1045. The previews are up at ESPN for the divisional games. Well, the 3 that we know for sure. What do they say about how the Titans can win? And how do they backhanded compliment the Titans? We will read it directly when we come back. JMart and Ramon, 1045 The Zone. Ten minutes out of your day. Think about what you can accomplish for the remainder of your day if it only took you 10 minutes to change your life. That's about what it takes for a LASIK procedure. second grade. Since second grade, I had glasses. I've just grown tired of it. I've wanted to wear sunglasses easier. I don't need clear grace at 9 months, throwing them across the room, all that kind of thing. So I talked to LASIK MD, and I'm so glad that I did. It's such a life-changing thing to do. You're usually good to go in a day. It was 3 songs on an MP3 is all they were able to get through. I think the third one didn't even finish, and they were already done, and they were helping me walk out. Virtually painless. You're usually back in action, like I said, in about 24 hours. 80,000 LASIK procedures done by Dr. Jason Greenberg, who did my procedure. Over 1 million in North America at LASIK MD. They walked through every step of the procedure ahead of time. They answered every single question. They answered my wife's questions. We were so very comfortable going into the office for the procedure, and they did exactly what they said they were going to do, and they offer a low price guarantee. They match the competitor's price. They'll take off an additional discount from the total cost of your procedure if anybody can beat them, but they start at $490 per eye, so good luck. The best way to find out if you're a candidate for LASIK, I want you to do what I did. Schedule a free LASIK consultation by visiting LASIKMD.com. That's LASIKMD.com. It's more affordable than ever. It's easier than ever. The technology is better than ever. If you've ever thought about this before, you have absolutely no reason to wait. Start seeing the world through different eyes. LASIKMD.com. Why the Titans will win. This per Kevin Seifert, ESPN. He writes, the Titans are a battle-tested group. They were 6-2 when they lost Henry, and after an adjustment, they went 6-3 the rest of the way through the regular season. 7 of their wins came by 1 score, and their average margin of 3.8 points was the lowest for any division winner. Some would look at those numbers and conclude the Titans were closer to being a wild card team or perhaps even on the edge of the playoffs altogether than being a true Super Bowl contender. But experience in such games is invaluable, and it will work to the Titans' advantage against a franchise that just won its first playoff game since 1990. Interesting stat, as you heard the backhanded compliment there. Both the Raiders and the Bengals' last win before Saturday was against the Titans organization. The Bengals beat the Oilers and the Raiders beat the Titans. I just thought that was kind of a weird note that was going to be true for those. But so again, the numbers say they shouldn't even be in the playoffs. The numbers say the only numbers that are going to matter on Saturday, folks, 17, 22, 11, 2. Well, that's offense. I wouldn't even put 2 out there. I would just throw the first 3 of them. Then I would start saying 31, 98.
Yeah.
40, I'd throw 2 out there. He's going to need to make a big time catch sometime in these next handful of games.
Well, I mean, I guess it matters. I guess I'm just saying I'm not necessarily throwing 2 into the mix of somebody I'm expecting. I might expect more from 15.
The guy that I'm expecting to have a big game, well, it's 2 guys. The Titans, how did they get free agency during the middle of the season is where I'm at. Like,
41?
Yeah.
That wasn't even middle of the season. That was like last quarter bowl of the season. You can also throw 96 in there too.
Friggin' him and friggin' David Long Jr. Both of them dudes. I was about to say David Long, and I was like, I can't forget about Zach. Zach I can't forget about that. Like,
and you're going to need Landry to kind of be more the guy he was in the first half of the season than the second half of the season.
Well, that's what I was going to say. That's a point that we got to talk about too during this week. Jay, is he can't wane off, man. No. And I don't want to call it that. But his impact, like you said, the first half of the season, as opposed to now, it's gotta. Now is your time, bro.
Yeah, this is when you earn your money. When you're in the playoffs, also.
You talk about Keith Bullock being what, Mr. Monday Night?
Mm-hmm.
Like he showed up when it counted. You know what I'm saying? You remember his name in big moments. Now is the point in which you need to be Mr. Playoff setting or something. Like careers are really born in this era right now.
Yeah, he's also going to be
like
Mr.
that.
He's also going to be Mr. Monday Morning as he joins Will Bowling and Kayla Anderson next as they're in for Buck Rising. How about this stat to think? Because obviously we're going to be dropping stats about the Bengals and Titans all week, and Scout Meeting Wednesday is going to be a big one this week to say the least. But Joe Burrow and JMart Chase, 79% of the passes he's thrown Chase's way in their past 3 games have been complete. They've averaged 15 yards per attempt.
Wow.
169 yards per game, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. 8 to 15. Weeks 8 to 15 of the regular season, it was only 53% between Burrow and Chase. And the game against the Raiders, 5 catches that were 10 yards or more past the line of scrimmage. Those 2 guys are dealing at the right time. There's just so much to try and chew on for this game. This is going to be a fun game. It's going to be a stressful game if you're a Titans fan, just because you know how good the other team is. You believe how good you are. That has a recipe for something special on Saturday. So 1 in the books. We got 4 more before these teams play. We're going to make the most of the next 16 hours. We got a game tonight. We'll recap that. We'll know every matchup in the divisional round, and we'll talk about it all tomorrow. For Ramon Foster and Jonathan Schaefer, I'm Jason Martin. Let's honor the king today.
Yes.
Obviously on MLK Day.
Remember your Twitter fans.